What is going on, guys? It is episode 608 of Pop Culture Crisis. Welcome back. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are back. I don't know if you even remember us anymore, but we've reminded you who we are. And we were in LA for a Daily Wire premiere. They were premiering their show, Mr. Burcham. So we're going to have some videos out about that soon. They're still in the works. And Phil is joining us today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Mary, did you just do the mom thing where it's like, oh, you don't call anymore, you don't remember who I am?
No. I did see some comments like asking, where are they? We want to bring Brett and Mary back, so that felt good.
Well, what it was, guys, is we're literally still in the studio in IRL from Friday.
We're still waiting to get a word in.
I almost got a word in at one point. See, it was actually one of those things where I was like, look, I could have taken a nap, but I didn't have my sunglasses with me, and the new studio's lights are very bright if you look up. If I had my sunglasses, I could have taken a nap. It would have been fantastic. But that, alas, wasn't an option. Yeah. But I do want to say thank you first to Kellen, who did a fantastic job of taking care of this show while we were gone. All 3 episodes looked like they were a lot of fun. I tuned in as much as I could while working to talk shit in the chat with with Dane.
Seems like it made you anxious to watch the show without us on it. You know,
there's a big.
We got a $50 super chat from That Stanzatastic. Okay, this is Un Mama and Un Papa de Pop Culture. Please no leave us with crazy cousins. They didn't feed us and they just smoked weed while chanting Alex Jones was right. Let's go over and over. But for real, we missed y'all. Don't leave again or else. Well,
it wasn't weed.
Threatening.
We will do our best to not.
We also got a $20 from Shane H. Wilder. He said, Happy Ascension Day, Brett, Mary, and Phil. We miss you, Brett and Mary. I see you were out to continue your educations. Or did you go to school, the crazies, out in LA? I'm sorry, I'll get my coat and see myself out.
Nope, but it's like what Tim was saying on Friday. We had to go sign a blood oath with Ben Shapiro. We had to go sign a contract with Ben Shapiro.
Yep.
To only say nice things about the Daily Wire.
He happened to not be there, actually.
So guys, we went to a premiere of the show Mr. Burcham, which is an Adam Carolla created show that's actually been in the works for almost 30 years that it took him to finally get this made. And we are going to have a review for that coming up, I believe. That will come out on either Friday in the afternoon.
Don't make any promises. We don't know yet.
No, not the review, not the premiere.
Oh, yeah. So we're doing a review video for Mr. Burcham, and we're also putting out a video like basically the same as our Lady Ballers premiere video, where it's just like, you know, behind the scenes content and interviews with people. So yeah, that's still in the works though.
Yep, but we're going to be putting that out soon, guys. So stay tuned for that. And again, I want to say thank you to Kellen for taking care of the show while we were gone. I think he did fantastic.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
What a wonderful young man.
I mean, I have some critiques about the state of my studio when I got back, but you know, I came back.
It caused you a lot of.
There was some tension where I sat down and
anxiety.
The chair just doesn't sit right.
It was all stuff that could be returned to default settings, right?
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
It's okay then.
There's no graffiti anywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing was destroyed.
Just
fine.
Return to default settings. It'll be okay.
It's good.
Know.
So what
it's your ship. You're still the captain. You know.
Check the seat to
make sure the seat's right. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Actually, before we get started, guys, hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel. If you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. And share these videos with your friends, because the more people you share this content with, the farther our reach is, which really is the best way to help this show grow. And remember, as you saw earlier, all Super Chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt those discussions. We will read those Super Chats right then and there, and then we will do our very best to get back on topic. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, first things first, it seemed like, so over the week, you know, while you were gone, I'm like, what the hell are we going to talk about on Thursday? All the good stuff's going to come out. And then it just so happened that an avalanche of industry news decided to come out yesterday, like last night.
So weird. I don't know if it was just that we weren't paying attention for a few days so much.
No,
or it was just like you said a bunch of earnings calls happened for the quarter for all of these companies, and that's presumably why all of these announcements are coming out at once. We're going to talk about a lot more of them tomorrow, though.
So we're going to
One
talk
of them was about Lord of the Rings, though.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about a brand new Lord of the Rings film that is going to be released, produced by Peter Jackson and directed by Andy Serkis, centered around Gollum. So we're going to talk about that. We asked you in the poll today, are you excited for a new Lord of the Rings movie? Yeah. What were the options?
You are either excited, worried, or don't care.
So go ahead and
I
answer
vote
the poll.
worried because I just don't have faith in them.
We're also going to talk about the fact that Disney is focusing on the wrong things. Still, there is this article that came out today that Tinkerbell is considered problematic, has been removed from meet and greets at Disney parks, which to me feels like they're focusing on the wrong thing because, as Kellen covered earlier in the week, Disney has all sorts of other problems. They're reeling back their Marvel productions. They were barely making a profit with Disney Plus this quarter, and possibly in quarter 3 they might go back to losing money on it. So
is it a pretty privileged thing that they're getting rid of Tinkerbell? She's pretty and
Kind
they're
of.
like, get out of here.
I think it might be.
Can't have attractive things. Everyone has to look like a foot.
Basically. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about rap artist Macklemore, who is... They're saying that there's censorship coming from his most recent song, which is in fact a protest song. It's a... thank you, Super Chat there. It is a pro-Palestine song that he released that he says, first of all, YouTube added an age restriction to it to limit its reach. I was actually having problems getting the video to play, which I've never had happen on this computer, on this rig here. So...
and other videos weren't.
We're playing fine. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about this absolutely atrocious clip that really doesn't understand what punk is.
What is punk in
is punk?
2024? That is a question we'll endeavor to answer.
We've got the perfect person here to help us answer
Yes.
that question. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. So if you guys are ready, we will get started. Mary, are you ready?
Let's go.
Phil?
Let's go.
He's ready. Let's go ahead and get started then. First things first, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever wondered what Kirkland brand Geralt looked like, this is what it is.
That's
Kirkland's
it.
brand what?
Geralt of Rivia. So it's The Witcher.
Henry Cavill must be feeling himself right now after his replacements got put through the shredder this week.
This is not Liam Hemsworth. It is fair to point out this is very clearly a stunt double, but still.
I would have been none the wiser, but the way he's standing, it's like that gay little monkey meme.
Oh, okay.
Remember the gay little monkey in the Apple store?
He looks like he's a skinny guy with like football pads on.
Why is he popping his hip out like that?
I thought it looked kind of
little...
It really looks like a skinny guy with like football shoulders on there. Like
he looks light in the loafers.
all of his width comes from the wardrobe department. It doesn't come from the gym. It looks like, you know.
I thought it looked more kind of like the Ben Affleck smoking outside meme.
Oh, it does.
Except for his head is down rather than up.
Ben Affleck looks like he's been to the gym. He looks like
Yeah.
Ben Affleck actually looks like he hasn't missed a meal in that one, but still he looks like a more filled out guy. This guy looks like a skinny, scrawny dude. And he definitely has that same dejected kind of.
I think they were saying they want him to play, like, people are saying they're fan casting him as Doctor Doom for Marvel.
Ben Affleck?
I think Ben Affleck needs to just go full villain.
Listen, I'm a fan of Ben Affleck, so people that say, like, you're not going to get hate out of me,
me neither.
on Ben Affleck. So I know there are people that like to hate him, and I ain't hating.
The Town and Argo are two of my favorite movies of all time, and
I'm a
very,
Ben
very
Affleck
worth your
fan,
watch.
man.
So. Also, one of the fantastic examples, and when somebody said, I saw a comment on one of our videos the other day that said they never blackwash or anything else.
Yeah.
But Ben Affleck played a Hispanic gentleman in Argo. So, I mean, I don't know if he was supposed to be portrayed as Hispanic,
He's
but he
Latinx
was.
passing.
Yeah, he
Or
was.
he caught the Latinx from J-Lo.
Fixing the
It's contagious.
Super chat there. Okay, so the crisis meter should be back. We're good to go.
I know they already covered the Superman image, but I just thought, why does he look so apathetic?
What did you think of that, Phil? Of like, did you see the picture of Superman putting on his boots?
Yes.
What do you think of it?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? What do I think?
What was your initial impressions when you saw the photo?
Well, actually, I think the first time that I saw it, are you talking about the one with the laser or the one where it was the two, where it was, because the first time that I saw it was actually, someone changed it so that way the World Trade Center was out there.
No, the one where.
So that was like, so for me, I was just like, well, I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, if Superman existed and, you know, he would have been on the scene that day. So, but still, like, you'd have to be really a depressed Superman to be watching World Trade Center
No,
go
I just
down
saw
and do it.
someone repost it with like a pinup girl pulling up her stockings, and I was like, "Oh, I do see the resemblance. Like, it's a
how
little
else
bit
do
of
you
a
put-
feminine pose."
No, it's not. How else do you put boots on? Like I don't buy
And maybe it just gave me the ick.
it gave
I
you
think
the
this new Superman image gave me the ick. The Witcher image, it gave me the ick.
My bigger issue with the Superman
none of it is
one,
Henry Cavill. Even though this is like looks like Henry Cavill, I don't feel like Henry Cavill exudes those kind of like vibes.
Yeah.
Like in real life, does he
Wait,
come off as
what,
like
masculine
no,
or-
like a feminist kind of thing? Like,
You're saying that he's
he does not.
effeminate in real life?
He does not come off as effeminate.
No, he doesn't.
I'm saying
Oh,
that he's
okay.
not. He does not.
My issue with the Superman
Or woke
picture
or
was
anything.
more the fact that I was like, another skybeam? I'm so sick of skybeams. Every movie like this ends with a freaking skybeam. Can something else bring about the end of the world than a stupid beam coming down from the sky that's about to destroy a city? I'm sick of skybeams. Get
Do
rid
you
of
have
them.
a better idea?
Well,
I'll
the Death
work-
Star did it first, and maybe that might even been something before then, or there might have been something even before then.
I saw a lot of dislike for the Superman costume. I didn't hate it at all. Like I thought it was perfectly fine. I actually liked. I know a lot of people really hated the high neck, the collar, and I didn't hate that. But I'm assuming that he'll go through more than one costume in there. The other issue they had is that it has the Marvel lines that they talk about, that their costumes are designed a certain way.
Yeah,
that
I
have a
didn't
lot
even know
of-
that was a
yeah.
thing
Yeah.
until you pointed it out.
I would need to see that.
Like, how else is Superman supposed to put his boots on though? Like, does he just jump into them? Like these days, there's no
They should
phone.
just materialize.
There's
there.
no phone booth for him to jump into anymore. Phone booths are gone. Like
That's such a loss.
Yeah.
For the culture.
it really is. Like the only phone booths you see these days just have homeless people in them.
Listen, I grew up in a time when there were phone booths, and I've used phone booths. You're both freaking wrong.
You don't like phone booths.
You're wrong.
Did you get AIDS from a phone booth?
No, I did not get AIDS from a phone booth.
You tried to get some change out of
But they are not like they are no loss. I absolutely prefer having a phone in my pocket than having to go to phone booths, especially being a touring musician. I'm going on tour in 3 months. Like phone booths, F you, stopping every time I have to make a phone call, F you.
Hot take.
In the show Person of Interest, the characters, the AI communicates with them through phone booths, giving them the numbers to get the person that they have to help. And the most unrealistic thing about that show was in 2011 there being a phone booth anywhere they needed to get the
Yeah.
number. Like they very clearly were just like prop phone booths that just got dropped in the middle
Still
of New York
love the
City.
movie, The Phone Booth.
Yes, there you go.
It's a
Another
good movie.
So yes, this is not Liam Hemsworth, but I don't think that anybody has any high hopes for this show right now, given that all of the excitement evaporated well before the first few seasons even ended, because of all of the contentiousness between Henry Cavill and the writing team.
And then the spin-off. And yeah.
Yep. All right. This is interesting in a fair story. I think this is
Wait,
good
is
news.
Shakira one of the portraits on your Tax Hero
I don't have a
collection?
picture of her. I don't have a picture of her yet.
She should be. She
Well,
is.
it needs to be
She is an
updated.
icon.
Yes, she
So
is.
Absolutely.
Spanish state prosecutors who accused Shakira of $7.2 million in tax evasion are now recommending the investigation be thrown out. They
Yes!
say
Free my
there is
girl,
not
Shakira!
sufficient evidence. The investigating judge will have the final decision, though, so we don't know yet.
Free Shakira. Free my girl.
Free my
I knew
girl.
I liked
innocent.
this. Look, she's not paying taxes to the Colombian government. She's paying taxes to the Spanish government, and as far as I'm concerned, she should be given restitution for all of the trouble that they have
Honestly,
caused
yeah.
her. Like they should be paying her for the attention she brought to the tax system out there.
Her hips don't lie to the IRS or whatever they have over
They
there.
never would. They
Wait,
never would.
I didn't know she was a citizen in Spain.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it says the.
I thought she was Brazilian, to be honest with you. Or is she Brazilian? And
No,
she-
she's
I don't
Colombian.
know.
She's Colombian. Okay, so
It says, in a separate case, she struck a deal in November with prosecutors whereby she acknowledged that she failed to pay the Spanish government 14.5 million euros in taxes between 2012 and 2014.
Good
Well, as
for
far as I'm
her.
concerned,
Good for her.
Good for her.
I mean, do they have to prove that it was intentional?
Isn't that the hardest part? Like, it's the meme that everybody sees where it's like, the government says, you owe us money, and you say, well, how much do I owe you? They're like, we can't tell you. And
They're
if you
all
get
coy
it wrong,
about
you're going
it.
to jail. You know?
Like,
She's
I'm not going to tell you. You have to guess.
It's very
The
stupid.
IRS is like, I had a dream about you last night.
Like imagine being the because whenever you picture like a tax prep person or an accountant or somebody who works for the IRS, I picture the guy with the green visor and in the suspender straps, and he's huddled over.
Does he have
like
a pencil in his ear?
Yeah. Or no, he's got like the world's biggest pocket protector, and he's there, and he's just starstruck by Shakira, and she just moves her hips, and then suddenly the debt just evaporates, vanishes. That's the way it should be, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Actually, this is funny because I think it was on IRL on Friday that Elijah Schaefer reminded us of that H&M ad that caused riots because it was this little black child wearing a shirt that says like mommy's favorite monkey or something.
From like several years ago.
Like I don't
Was
even
it
know.
riots?
I don't even remember exactly what it said, but it caused mass outrage, and a similar situation has happened. Racist LeBron James poster displayed at school art shows, and an investigation is now underway.
I looked at that and I said, well, I looked at that and I was like, investigate what? Like I don't mean
the
to be
racism.
rude.
You need to investigate the racism.
Yeah.
Like
It says eat monkeys, jump like monkeys, and they have this photo of LeBron James jumping, and I guess that would imply that he's a monkey or something.
Kind of should have saw that one coming.
like
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, but if they didn't see it coming, that kind of proves they weren't thinking about it like that, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that means that people aren't going to freak out because, there's that thing that is just.
Well, I don't know what to investigate. You find the person who made the project and you say this is not appropriate, and then you're done.
Well,
You know, the real problem here is they're telling kids that eating cereal is good for them.
Well,
It's not healthy.
It's a parody of a cereal advertisement. Monkey Premium.
Oh, okay.
A New Hartford Central School District student they don't even know who the student was. It wasn't his name next to the project. Like they're gonna put thousands of man hours into figuring out what this
Poor
was.
kid is gonna get expelled from his school.
Like the other thing was so what he should have done. What he should have done is made the project about something that's more up LeBron James's alley. Something about flopping, because he gets knocked over when he's playing. Maybe something that can help him stand up straight and not fall over so often when somebody hits him in basketball and he goes flying across the court at a rate of speed that's completely incongruous with how he was actually pushed.
Flop.
And then that way it's not racist. It's just proving that he's kind of a dork.
Sounds like the kid in charge of this was like 12 and didn't think about it like
Wasn't
that.
thinking about it like
You
that.
sent me that story about these guys who were expelled from their school for quote unquote blackface, but they had proof that it was a face mask.
Yeah, they were wearing acne masks and they got like $1 million settlement from the school.
The weird part about that is why would you put that all over your eyelids? That's crazy.
Ooh, maybe it was. Maybe they actually just made it up and they got away with it.
Seems like it, yeah. But like they took the selfie because it's funny because it looks like haha we're doing blackface, but actually we're wearing a face mask. That's why they took the selfie.
One of my other favorite things about LeBron James, there's this great meme. It says like whenever LeBron James reads a book, he's on page 1. So there's all these pictures of him like supposedly working out and reading.
He
It's like,
thinks himself such an intellectual, doesn't he?
The idea is supposed to be, look at I'm sound of mind and body. But he's always on page 1 when he's reading the book.
Accept that you're good at you're really, really good at one thing, and you don't need to be seen as an intellectual outside of that. It's fine.
Yeah. He's not an actor, that's for sure. Did you see that second Space Jam movie?
I didn't actually.
No.
I just thought that was the idea that you're going to have people investigate and put time and resources into it when you just take the student and you say that was inappropriate. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a child.
Obviously.
Stupid. All right, Mary, it's time to talk about all of the censorship that's going on today because we don't just have the Macklemore story. We have Jojo Siwa.
Yes. I mean, you almost feel bad for Jojo Siwa at this point. First, she's getting dragged on SNL, and then all of these YouTubers are dragging her too. So one of them is named Papa Meat, and he posted this animated spoof of Jojo Siwa's Karma performance and her dance moves, which are abhorrent. And it was hilarious. And he posted that he got false copyright claimed on that video because of his adaptation of her song, which is not even close to the original version of it. So she seems to be abusing the copyright system to stop people from making fun of her. Thank you.
Bring back the dancing.
We're back. We're so back. But yeah, it seems like she's abusing YouTube's copyright system, as happens so often. in order to make people stop talking about her,
I guess
stop making fun of her.
They're saying more that it's her record label that's doing it, but the distinction without a difference here.
Yeah.
So this is the clip. We'll play it.
Yes, it started
at 54, you said?
Yeah.
We'll play it at 54 so you can see what's going on with this clip.
She's like a wild animal, and she's being displayed to a bunch of people at a zoo.
Here we go.
Now, Jojo, would you like to sing for everyone? Come as a bitch! I should have known better if I had a wish you would never mess around. I saw a picture of you on twins. Come as a bitch! I need to fight now. Oh, wow, very good, Jojo. Oh, who's a good girl? Who's a good girl?
Okay. Yeah. And obviously it's just not anywhere close to the original song, so
now
why is this guy getting silenced?
Yeah.
He said, hey, Team YouTube, can you tell Jojo Siwa's record label that chortling a shitty version of her song doesn't infringe on copyright of her song? Thanks. And they actually responded. They said, totally understand your frustration. Looks like you've already submitted a dispute. It's best to wait for the response. Appreciate your patience. And he said, why don't you just skip the hassle for this obstructive abuse of your copyright system and remove it? They have no argument. This is complete mockery to your copyright system.
I get a question. So when YouTube uses the, so this was a manual copyright claim, right? So that makes more sense. Like I always wondered, like when somebody gets copyright claimed and it's one of the ones that's automated, is it the background music that it's catching, or is it the lyrics of the song, or is it both in tandem? Because there's no, like, it doesn't have any of the background music there. You literally hear like nature sounds.
No, there's no background music. It couldn't have been by an algorithm. Yeah. And he also changed the lyrics because the character of Jojo Siwa is barely pronouncing any of the words.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was clearly some person in Jojo Siwa's team that I believe was like, they got a threatening text from her saying like, you better get this taken down. And they manually submitted it. So
That's
yeah,
annoying.
they have no argument.
Like the better thing to do would be to, like, I feel like personally, like the best thing you can do if you're a celebrity and you want to ingratiate yourself to the public is have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
About yourself.
Well, she responded to the SNL skit where Chloe Fineman was, making fun of her, and she had a somewhat positive, lighthearted response. But to this, not so much.
I guess this is a little bit more flagrant in its
Of course, but
depiction.
if you go to the end of the skit, I think it's actually really thoughtful and philosophical about the psychological effects on child stars and how she's chained up for doing what she was told.
Yeah, I do recommend people go and listen. It's the same excuse that I always say why they ruined mean tweets on like the late shows, when it used to be like some random nobody takes the piss out of a celebrity and everybody can kind of laugh because the celebrity's the one with all the status and all the power. So it's nice to watch them kind of get taken down a peg and then they kind of make a sad face, and it ingratiates them to the public because it proves that they have a sense of humor about themselves. The second the celebrity started like insulting them back on air, I'm like, you're literally on a
super
huge
chat
channel, like a late night show, and you have all the power in this situation. That's not fun.
We got
and
a
it's not
$100
endearing.
super chat from Just Cause I'm Free. He said, happy to see the hot blonde back, and I'm referring to Brett. Also, hello, Mary. How's it going, Phil?
Cheers. Doing well.
Well, I mean, I'd put on the wig, but
No wig today?
no wig today. So I still think we could do the thing where it's like, if we get 5 crisis parties while wearing the wig, you get another week of the wig.
Week of you
You
wearing
have to
the wig.
earn the wig.
Yes. So that next week, maybe on Thursday, I wear the wig, and if we get 5 crisis parties, then the next week on Thursday, I wear the wig, and then see how that works. I don't know if it works, but that would be cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Just Cause I'm Free. Thank you very much. Also, it's really funny. So, speaking of the blonde part, it's like I had to go back and rewatch our thing for Daily Wire for Lady Ballers, and I still had the blonde hair at that time, and I physically cringed. It
looked good.
Well, it was grown out at that point.
Yeah, but
for
it
so
looked
long.
like Frosted Tips. Everyone loved it.
Love Frosted Tips. Okay, so the point here is that I think that having a sense of humor ingratiates yourself to the public better. Like the average.
This is like the type of stuff that used to be on YouTube.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
Back
yes,
when YouTube
absolutely.
actually was entertaining and people weren't afraid to be funny.
It's kind of like when you mention like Rucka Rucka Ali.
Yeah, and
those were the golden days of
Lonely
YouTube.
Island was on YouTube, and like
I mean, even Lonely
Equals
Island
3.
was Lonely Island was still pretty corporate, but
Yeah, it was.
was good.
You had like Equals 3, and you had Rucka Rucka Ali, and you had like, who was that one? There was like literally one guy who made parody music videos.
I remember the literal music video translations where it's the old video, but then they just literally sing the song but describe what's going on screen. Those were the days of a more creative time in YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, it was Bart Baker. Like
Okay.
back when Bart Baker was making all these parody music videos.
Yeah.
And you had like Charlie the Unicorn, Salad Fingers. YouTube used to be a fun place.
I just think that like
Now you just have us. We're the only fun YouTube channel left.
yeah, have fun or else. That's the thing. I also think it's just sad. Like you have to have a sense of humor. For instance, nobody in the chat pronounces my name correctly. The equivalent would be me getting mad like every time they say my name wrong.
It's us, Bart and Molly.
Gosh, what did
Bert and Marjorie.
What did Kellen say? Bert and Marjorie?
Yeah.
Bert and Marjorie.
I don't.
That's us.
You don't look anything like a Marjorie. Your hair isn't curly enough to be a Marjorie.
Would I be a Mildred?
No.
No.
Maybe I don't know. Like what's another
Matilda.
name like that? A Matilda. You could be a Matilda.
Okay.
You could be a Matilda.
I never watched Matilda.
There's a lot of syllables in Matilda though compared to Mary.
Yeah. My other name that I was almost given was Alice.
You definitely could be
I
an
definitely
Alice.
could be an
You could be an
Alice.
Alice for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. All right. I want to see more people go into making comedy like this because when I'm watching something like this, a lot of work went into it. There's
Yeah.
a lot of animation there, a lot of script writing to create something like that.
I'm
and it's
sure a
good.
lot of work went into Jojo Siwa's music video too, but we're allowed to make fun of it.
You have to look at the video. He literally used it like in the video. She uses her dance moves as like an attack on the people.
Yeah.
She like mauls people with
she
her
mauls
dance moves.
someone. She mauls a woman by humping her leg.
All right, we got
It's her attack.
$20
A
super chat
20
there.
from Corey Anderson. He said, I have a few opinions about JoJo's video. Why was the dancing so aggressive? Why the humping? During relations, men do the humping. She is a fake lesbian. The video confirmed it. Teased kissing throughout and never did it.
Well, that's the problem, right? She has it all backwards.
It's inconsistent. That's the real problem.
I think it's more the outfit looks ridiculous. Like I feel like she could have
looks
found
awful.
a more streamlined outfit that didn't quite look so.
Her whole
Yeah.
look on that thing is
feel
absolutely
like,
ridiculous.
Does anyone care about JoJo Siwa enough to tell her like, hey, this isn't the right choice. Like this isn't a good idea.
Well, also like there is such a thing as like your outfit matching your tone, right? Like the tone of your music. And her outfit looks like she's about to be a glam rock cover artist.
But she can't do sexy. Like,
No.
and especially because of being a child star in the past, but also it just seems to be innate in her that she just can't do that.
Then her only road forward is like Billie Eilish on Too Much Sugar.
But it's like so much worse.
Is be Billie Eilish, but Billie Eilish on a sugar high with like the baggy jeans and the loose t-shirts.
And like she's got that raspy voice because she's been screaming nonstop for over a decade. I don't know. Give it a rest, JoJo.
She's just, I just can't get over the look. It's so bad, just so bad.
How would you fix it? Like if you were, I mean, you've been working in the music industry a long time. How would you fix her look if you could?
Well, if she actually wants to look like she's edgy, it shouldn't look so rhinestoney.
Less
It shouldn't
glitter.
look so. Yeah, it shouldn't look. It shouldn't look like she's trying to be Kiss when Kiss was in like the '70s during the disco era. Like that is not edgy. That is still the whole like, you know, lights and flash, and it's still very disco. If she's actually trying to look edgy, she should look like she's, you know, done heroin recently.
Not
So-
even close.
No, she doesn't.
So what you're
I'm
saying
just-
is like,
it should look-
She
get
looks like a Cabbage Patch
a
doll.
baggy
Yeah.
cardigan and go kind of Kurt Cobain with loose flannels.
There is
Yeah.
nothing that could make JoJo Siwa look edgy. I'm sorry. It's not possible.
It's not possible.
Probably not, but that the look that she has now definitely doesn't do it. It's not believable. There's this artist that was working with at a studio when I was at the same studio, and the producer that she was working with was talking about her look and talking about the stuff, and they had written some great songs and had some great lyrics, right? Some stuff that was pretty edgy and actually like, you know, I forget what the lyric was, but I think it was F your safe word, don't you stop, or something like that. So it was like really kind of edgy lyrics, but her look was not edgy. And I was like, look, this girl, he's like, what would you do? I was like, she needs to like be homeless and get on heroin and then get off heroin.
Maybe like there could be a marketing angle of like, she doesn't look like the person who would say these things.
That's fine.
Like
that's
the
fine.
interesting
But if that's the angle, if that's your angle, you have to make that your angle. You can't just like be like, you can't just imply that. It has to be clear to people. Yeah. And so like, if you're gonna, like, the reason it was compelling when Guns N' Roses did it is because Axl Rose was literally having sex with the girl that was dating a dude in the band and recording it to put it on their record. Like when you hear the girl moaning in I think it's So Easy off of Appetite from Destruction, it's because it's actually happening. Like the reason that people are edgy is because it's real. All of this is phony edgy, and it's completely clear.
Axl's talking to Jojo Siwa. Back in my day,
I mean, it's true.
we actually had sex with the bandmate's partner and then recorded it. You kids are just posing with your safe words and safe spaces. Yeah.
It is. I mean, that is why it comes off cheesy, is because everyone knows that it's fake.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that it's Hollywood and it's a pose and it's trite. It's just that's why it doesn't come across, and that's why she gets mocked so much.
She's been corporate her entire life. She's like corporate on a metaphysical level.
Yeah.
One can't even comprehend that level of corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, it is time to move on. Gina Carano's got the receipts.
Dude, this was crazy. So Gina Carano quote tweeted a clip of Chris Cuomo and pulled out the receipts of him basically threatening her back in 2021 when she was in the middle of her cancellation from Disney. And the message he sent her was absolutely insane. And I felt like this needs attention, even though it happened a few years back. This is a veiled threat from Chris Cuomo. He said, "Hey, Chris Cuomo from CNN, would you like a chance to clarify where your head and heart are before you get defined permanently by others?" No question mark, just a period. And then she doesn't respond. The same day, he just sends her 3 question marks. Like, I'm Chris Cuomo, don't you know how important I am? You should have responded to me so that you could appear on my show and give me clout because you're being canceled right now unfairly.
Bro didn't even capitalize the CNN part.
No, only Chris Cuomo. Yeah, but this is because in this clip, he is talking about ivermectin. He's on the PBD podcast, right?
Yeah.
And he is walking back all of these things that he said during the pandemic and during, like, when the vaccine rollout was happening. Yeah. And he's like, hey, we all thought that ivermectin was horse-based and we were wrong and we should be honest about that. But if you didn't trust the government back then, it's not because you knew better than me, it's just because you distrust the government.
And my problem with this is the language. Like there is a way to start a discourse with someone that's far more polite and ingratiating that would actually get you more interviews. Right? I mean, I guess what he's looking for here is brevity. He's like, I'm Chris Cuomo. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I'm busy. I'm going to write you this condescending message that wouldn't actually get anyone to want to come on your show unless they ideologically agree with you 110%. But it's very clearly not done in a way that's supposed to inspire any type of open discourse between the two.
Yeah, it's just annoying to see people like, so Chris Cuomo is like going back on all the things that he said about COVID. And then Jerry Seinfeld is like, I'm against wokeness now. And all of these people are going back on what supposedly were their public platform positions.
And many people in the space
because
said that that's
safe.
what was going to happen. They said the second that it's safe, a lot of people are going to pretend like they weren't like this, that they were like this the whole time.
They're gaslighting.
Yep.
That's exactly what they're doing. Let's look at the clip though,
Is
that
it
she quote tweeted.
Yeah. Is it this one?
It's
I'll
so
tell you
obnoxious.
something else that's going to get you a lot of hits. I am taking a what do they call it? Like a regular dose, whatever. They're trying to build up of ivermectin. Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why?
It wasn't just that.
Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's not what matters. What matters is
What was was that sentence? He said, everyone's saying Joe Rogan was right. He wasn't right. Well, look, he was right, but what he was saying.
The part that matters is that everybody that was speaking out and saying, no, this is okay, was treated by the actual government and establishment media and powers that be, essentially, as if they were bad and they were attacked, and you had people that were silenced and you violated their civil rights, and he was a willing, active participant in that. That's what's wrong with it. It's unbelievable that he actually is treating it like this. There needs to be far more contrition, and he needs to understand exactly what his role in the greatest lie fed to the American people in all of human history.
It's not just contrition, but it's like, show a little humility.
Yes.
And he's not even willing to admit that Joe Rogan could be right about anything. He's like, well, he was right, but he was right for the wrong reasons because he distrusts the government in general. But it's like, can you just can you just admit that you were a total ideologue?
All you had to do was look at the fact that people were given the Nobel Prize for developing ivermectin. Yep. Like, this was not, when they said horse pace and stuff, it was all BS. And this idea that
oh yeah, it wasn't difficult to decipher at the time.
Not at all.
For anyone who was genuinely interested in the real information.
People got the Nobel for developing this stuff, and they were clearly giving it to human beings. So it isn't.
But the problem is,
pace.
it's not patented, right? So that's the issue, right? It's no one can profit off of it if it's not patented.
Well, no, they're saying that they were taking it for off-label use, right? Well, tell that to the people on Ozempic.
Yeah, all of the arguments were just bad arguments. There were no legitimate arguments.
And a little bit of contrition and a little bit of humility would go a long way with people. But the sad thing is, I don't think it matters.
Gina Carano said in her tweet, partly, show some humility. People weren't allowed to sit next to their loved ones as they died because of propaganda you spread. Mm-hmm. This phase in major news media history will go down as one of the most embarrassing, destructive moments that cost people's lives and careers, broke up families, and destroyed our economy. You don't look like a hero now. You look arrogant with no idea how deep this goes for the people this destroyed. The message below from Chris Cuomo, Instagram direct message to me, February 11th, 2021. I was fired, shamed, and canceled February 10th, literally the day before he sent her this message. Question, Gina Carano here, would you like a chance to clarify where your head and heart are before you get defined permanently by others?
He didn't even finish it with a question mark. He put a period at the end.
Because it's just the assumption, like, I'm so important, of course you're going to respond. He doesn't even need to ask.
Like, give me a break. Like I said, anybody with basic human interaction skills would understand how to phrase this in a way that would at least come across far less condescending and far less antagonistic.
I really don't like the fact that he works at Valuetainment now. Like, that's the situation, right? He got a whole contract from them. Doesn't make sense to me. It's like the same as Don Lemon getting the contract with X.
I think that was
why?
I think it was related to. Remember when he did the clip with the lady with Tourette's and he couldn't help but laughing?
Was it that?
Was it it's like people were like, oh, this guy's like a normal guy now, but he never was.
No, he's still clearly insane.
Yeah. I just can't believe that this is the type of thing that we're going to have to go through now, where a lot of people are going to pretend like 2021 and 2020 didn't happen. And
well, look, after what happened on IRL last night, let's not even go there.
No, the point is that Gina Carano is one of many people who, and she has 100 other things that she could talk about in which she was wronged by people in her own industry.
She's holding on to those receipts, so if you crossed her, watch out. Watch your back.
All right, guys, it is time to move on. That is Emily. Do you guys remember? What was it? About a month ago, we talked about Rebecca Ferguson, who talked about how she was talked down to and yelled at by somebody on the set of one of her movies, but she's like, but I'm not going to tell you who it was, and I'm going to let you go around and think about who it might be, so that way everybody who starred in a movie with her had to like say, wasn't me, I didn't do that.
Including The Rock.
Including The Rock. But now, Emily Blunt is doing her own version of this, where she's saying that many of the co-stars that she had to kiss on screen made her sick to her stomach, but she had to leave tell you a few people that it wasn't.
This is funny. So Obviously, The Fall Guy just came out. Emily Blunt is on screen in a romantic relationship with Ryan Gosling. She didn't mention him in these comments. She said, Emily Blunt says kissing some of her co-stars makes her feel like throwing up. But it did not apply to some of her favorite co-stars, including Tom Cruise, Cillian Murphy, Dwayne Johnson, Robert Downey Jr., and Matt Damon. So, conspicuously, Ryan Gosling in her most recent movie is not mentioned here, which we are left to assume. Emily Blunt, were you nauseated by the idea of kissing Ryan Gosling?
The top comment is literally that.
Yeah, he's catching strays here. Seems like a diss, right? Seems like shade.
It's from book Cameo too. Is tossing shade.
We got
That's a social media
$20
platform.
from The Rumbling. He said, "Hi, Brett and Mary and Phil.
Hi.
Helen sucked. I felt like..." Oh, did he say Helen, but he meant Kellen. Kellen sucked. I felt like he tricked me into watching a gay prawn. When is the girls going to show up? But instead it was, when are you going to show the cute? It was cringe after cringe after cringe.
Oh, there was like no cute of the day. You only showed cringe. There's got to be a balance, my friend. Yin and yang.
Well, we love Kellen and we thank Kellen for helping us out.
We really like
we really appreciate it.
It is very, very difficult for us to go and do other things related to the show when this show has to happen every single day. So without the help from Kellen and everybody who took time out of their day to come and guest on the show, we wouldn't be able to go do that. So we thank him and we thank all of those.
I'm sorry it did not fit your taste. And another 100 from Just Cause I'm Free. He said 3 years too late. Also, wasn't CNN the one that went after Joe Rogan hard after he had the coof? Also, didn't Chris call for people to get the jab and people who took the medicine or who didn't get the jab to die? He's dumb and people shouldn't stop shunning him.
I mean, we're not going to get heavy into the
right wingers
stuff,
are just so nice that they're not going to shun him.
Do you remember the video? So Joe Rogan posted the video and then CNN reposted the video and like changed the color to make him look green and sick.
No.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So Joe Rogan did a video.
Oh, no, I do remember this.
Remember,
they put that filter over it.
As people always say, no matter how much you hate journalists, you do not hate journalists nearly enough.
And then another 20 from Alfred LaRock. He said, I'm glad Cuomo has the platform to out himself and his cronies. Mary saw the LA premiere pics, loved the Southeast Asian Megyn Kelly cosplay, tweeted her best interview outfits to you and Phil. I don't know what MCCGA means, but
I don't remember. I feel like we heard it the other day, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So Emily Blunt was just, I guess she must have meant that she was disgusted and nauseated by kissing Ryan Gosling, which is hard to believe because they had great chemistry.
Well, that's the beauty of good TV or TV and movies, right? Is the actors can fake it.
I said like they have the kind of chemistry only two happily married actors can have.
Yeah, like it wasn't the type of thing where they looked at each other and there was like sexual tension.
Yeah,
it was the chemistry of two people that had a deep connection to one another that was beyond physical, but on screen it just comes across as cute and endearing. And it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad that it wasn't overly sexualized, and we were just talking about the sex scenes debate the other week.
I look at these things and I'm like, they love to just tee up questions for these actors, like with the Rebecca Ferguson one, that's going to make trouble for them in their own industries.
I mean, it's usually political questions, not like.
Well, the Rebecca Ferguson one wasn't political. It's just about getting. I guess it's kind of identity politics because it's a co-star yelled at her, but they never even specified. Rebecca Ferguson never even technically specified that it was a man. Everyone just assumed that it was a dude.
So this is interesting. Emily Blunt spoke about tactics that she uses to find chemistry with a co-star when there isn't much, such as attempting to find something she likes about her fellow actor in order to create a better rapport on camera. I've got to find something I love about everybody. Thank you. I have to find something, even if it's just one thing. It might be that they have a nice laugh, or I like how they speak to people, they're polite, something random, but find something you love about that person or something you love about them as the character, and then lean into that. Despite her attempts to spark chemistry between her and her romantic counterparts' characters, Blunt said that some moments on set have been downright gross. Howard Stern asked her, have you wanted to throw up? And she said, absolutely. I wouldn't say it's sort of extreme loathing, but I've definitely not enjoyed some of it.
That's your job, unfortunately. That's your job.
But Howard Stern had to tee up that moment for her.
I mean, this is why that's why extensive chemistry tests tend to be done for a lot of these things, right? Because they need to make sure that these two people can pull off something believable on screen. And that's not always going to work, depending on how much of that they do. I did see this thing the other day. First of all, I want to say that I'm bummed that Fall Guy isn't doing well at the box office.
It's weird.
I really do believe that in an age where everyone talks about wanting something different, the idea of the romantic action comedy is a great kind of new subgenre that can get a lot of attention if it's done right. Like I said, that movie, was it Lost City or whatever, with Sandra Bullock and I always forget the name of it. I think it's Lost City. But it made like $150 million and it was good and people liked it. And I'd say it was good. I didn't, whatever. But the point is like that's a genre that doesn't get a lot of play because the average comedy, you know, it's just not going to make a lot at the box office. So they're going to go straight to streaming. And I like the idea of doing the big budget action movie, but most of the time now they're bloated in budget. So this movie cost like $160 million to make, which I still think was probably too much.
I mean, if Barbie cost $100 million.
I mean, if Oppenheimer cost $100 million, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is not taking psychologically damaged or psychologically like dark roles anymore.
Because it's not appropriate for his family to watch it.
And
right?
Yeah, he doesn't want it to cause problems at home, whether it's because the role puts him in a dark place and might affect his home life. I think that's refreshing to read as well. But poor every other actor that Emily Blunt has ever had to be romantically involved with on camera. Now they're like, no, my breath's fine. Wasn't me.
Tom Cruise knows it wasn't him.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
That's perfectly fine. Is there a question like that you think that these reporters like to give to them that is like the most egregious that they always end up having to script? Because political questions we understand, right? But like a lot of times they will ask questions about people they've worked with in the past or something like that. But it feels like they tee it up and then it seems to be the women, beginning as Rebecca Ferguson, but they don't mind just leaving it out there and not answering the question.
The one that I keep seeing in every Sydney Sweeney interview is, how do you feel about the way that other people feel about your tits? And how do you feel about abortion? Those two questions
like,
keep recurring in
like,
every Sydney Sweeney interview. And I know the abortion one is because she's in this movie Immaculate and she's like, you know, this nun that gets pregnant, in this, she's a virgin nun and she gets pregnant and it's like this demonic baby or whatever, and they're like, is this a metaphor for Roe v. Wade? They keep on asking her those questions, but most of the time it's like, how do you feel about being objectified and overly sexualized in this industry of toxic males? And that's rephrased in a million different ways to every actress, but especially Sydney Sweeney right now.
Yeah.
It's literally like, how do you feel about the way that men feel about your tits?
Yeah.
Like, what are you even supposed to say to that?
Well, actually, this is what, yeah. What do you say?
Like, are you supposed to say that it makes you suicidal? I don't know what the proper answer to that is in their mind.
There's a $20 there from Crispy Leg Transport LLC.
Sorry, let me find that. He said, song of the day, Misty Mountains, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. It would be cool if guys could sing that a cappella. Us?
Us? Phil. I think they want Phil to sing it a cappella.
No.
We're not going to do a karaoke show. Sorry. Not happening.
A Phil karaoke show would do well.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phil karaoke show would do well.
If you did that on Twitch, that'd be fun.
I wish Fall Guy was doing better. I really
So it's
do.
only at 70 million worldwide right now.
and
And that's not even halfway toward the budget. That's not even including marketing. And it sucks because we complain, and our even people in our audience like complain like we don't have any original ideas. Everything is just recycled IP and
to be fair,
sequels,
it is based,
reboots.
It is
spin-offs.
based on a television show, but
yeah, but nobody knows.
under 40 knows that.
Nobody knows what the TV show is. And Bullet Train was based off of a graphic novel. It doesn't count. Thank you. But then, you know, when there's actually something new on offer, no one is going to support it. So what are you supposed to do?
So I say all the time. I said, like, if you want new, you go to network shows, to streaming, where there's new slop dumped every day that is at least not based on the biggest IP in the world, but it gets no marketing, and then nobody ends up going and watching it.
I mean, there is some original stuff. I've given it a chance and it's shitty.
Yeah.
But The Fall Guy was definitely an exception to that.
Go see it, guys. And I mean, good word of mouth is the best way to help movies like this grow. So I do recommend that everyone go and check it out. I think it's worth your time.
Go, go, go.
Go, go, go. Exactly. All right, guys, let us move on then,
No,
shall we?
no.
Oh, no, we also forgot about Michael Douglas, who was talking about intimacy coordinators, which is related to it.
Yeah, this is just an aside, but he said intimacy coordinators feel like executives taking control away from filmmakers. You take responsibility as a man and make sure the woman is comfortable.
I mean, most of the stories you hear about this now are like, who was it recently that we were just talking about that was, Victoria Justice, saying that her co-star, well, they had to shoot a sex scene on the first day of shooting, that he at least made her feel very comfortable and it was very easy to do, but having to do it on the first day was the hard part, right? Well, the intimacy coordinator, shouldn't they be in part of the process of being like, maybe we shouldn't film this on the first day?
As I said when we discussed that, the way that she was speaking about it made it seem like she is just uncomfortable with doing sex scenes, period, as most people are and most actors are. And the day on which it was filmed had nothing to do with that. She just felt in her conscience like this was a bad choice.
Well, it would be interesting to talk to her, 4 or 5 years from now if she's done more movies where they don't take place on the first day and see if that same opinion holds.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do the thing that goes against my conscience over and over and over again until I no longer get those bad feelings, and then see how I feel about it. No, you follow your gut instinct the first time. That's obviously what should be done.
All right, guys, it's time to see Cringe and Cute of the Day. Actually, I don't have Cute of the Day today, though I do have a couple. I have a Wholesome of the Day, but we also have Cringe of the Day as well. What would you like to see?
Phil, you decide. Do we want Cringe or Cute?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's go with Cute first.
Okay, there you go.
Cute first?
Because everyone was
Wholesome.
missing Cute.
Yeah.
Apparently. Are we doing Wholesome of the Day?
Wholesome of the Day first. Hillary Duff welcomes her 4th child. Towns Meadow Bear.
What?
Yes.
That ruined
Towns
it. That ruined
Meadow
it.
Bear.
Nope.
No. 4 kids.
That's not wholesome. You're naming your kids some weird shit like that.
I've been dreaming of. She wrote a sweet letter for it, and I just think that people,
wait, you said towns?
Towns.
Like there's another one named cities. There's another one named villages.
All of the kids in Hollywood get ridiculous names. I think that I can look past that.
What is wrong with these people?
In the face of
humiliation ritual.
Actually working
humiliation
to
ritual.
have a positive impact on her family and working in Hollywood. It's very hard to be in the spotlight, leave the spotlight, start a family, and be somewhat normal. So 4 kids.
Yes, that's
I don't
fine.
think that that's a bad thing.
But why do you said Towns Meadows?
Towns Meadow Bear.
Meadow Bear.
Meadow Bear.
Is this like the man versus bear debate?
Perfect, yeah.
And
Towns versus
child.
Bear. Look, it's hybrid then. It's Cringe and Wholesome.
Yeah,
It can be both.
I gotta say it's mostly Cringe.
Yeah. And I'm going to do one more here from Ellen Thompson.
But congrats to Hillary.
Yes. Socializing with kittens.
We already saw
Did we
this
see
one.
this one?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
where are we now? Did we do this one? Oh my God.
Oh no.
This is Brutus. He's spoiled rotten. His brother Kevin is the void looking on in the background.
Aww.
That
He's
is-
smiling.
That is one very, very
Look at those beans.
silly kitty, tired kitty.
Cute.
I like it. All right, time for Cringe of the Day, courtesy of Seth Rogen, as if it could be from anyone else. Seth Rogen lights a giant bong to start his Seth Smokes the Bowl show at the Hollywood Bowl. I'm not playing the music because it's copyrighted, and I don't care about giving him the ambiance anyways, but as you can see, this is him trying to look
It's like got a
dramatic.
giant match here. Well, who's gonna smoke it? Right?
It's unbelievably dorky. It really is the difference between somebody who smokes weed and somebody who makes weed their whole personality.
Yeah. It's just undignified.
So dorky.
Imagine the smell.
Okay.
Why?
It's unbelievably dorky. All right.
We had another Cringe.
Yeah, we
didn't
did. So Joe Biden got involved in the Kendrick and Drake debate. They didn't change the lyrics, but you'll have to look on screen here if you're listening to the audio version of this. I apologize. But it says, speaking of diss tracks, and it's from Biden Harris HQ. Is that an official account? Can somebody tell me if that's an official account?
I think it is.
Okay. Somebody, if not, somebody let me know.
It's affiliated.
So it's been about love and hate. Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk.
Let's go through it. So he says, I hate the way that you walk, and it says, I hate the way you walk over women's rights. I hate the way that you talk.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk.
It says, I hate the way you
immigrants.
talk about immigrants.
I hate the way that you dress. I hate the
Hey, he looks dapper. Stop. Stop
way
it
that you
with this.
sneak this. If I catch
On Truth, the way
that's
you
actually
sneak diss on Truth Social is actually good.
That's actually good. They've got him on that there.
Yeah,
right?
he is sneak dissing.
But that's their, like, what was the one, there was like one time that they had like a good diss on Trump that we mentioned once on the show that was actually pretty good. Now I can't remember what it was. Does anybody remember what that, like, there was one thing and I can't remember
I know
what it
that they
was.
leaned into the Dark Brandon memes for a minute.
There was one that was actually good. Now I can't remember what it was, but it was so, that's the problem. If you've only got one thing that you've ever been able to pull out of your repertoire to actually land a diss on the dude, then they're not doing well.
The left can't meme.
No.
We already know this.
All right, it is time to talk about problematic Disney, because everything Disney does.
Wait, I thought we were starting with Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah. Okay. First things first.
Get it
Lord of the
together, Brett.
Rings. We're getting back into the swing of
I'm
things
kidding.
here, guys.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to beat Brett after the show. I promise. This time.
Blink twice.
A new live-action movie in the Lord of the Rings franchise is coming up. And what's surprising about this is they unghosted Peter Jackson. They are bringing him into the project to be a producer. He is not directing. But everyone was really excited that Andy Serkis is directing. Do you know why? I don't understand why this is such a great sign for this franchise in particular.
I like Andy Serkis. I mean, I like Andy Serkis more as an actor, but you know, it's this is
supposed to be titled The Hunt for Gollum, and it is not from the novels. It's a story that is yet to be told. They're just making shit up now. It's not Tolkien. So we're already on bad footing.
Yep.
This is already a huge red flag. I know Amazon isn't attached to this because Amazon doesn't own the rights to the movies. They don't own the rights to anything that's in the actual series of novels. But regardless, do we really have any faith that Hollywood is capable of making anything in this franchise, anything in this world, like, without fucking it up?
Well,
like, do we have any hope?
It
for
doesn't
that?
matter because it's not Tolkien, right? So there's a difference between when they did Bond movies and they did some of their own. So like GoldenEye wasn't based on an actual story from the Bond franchise, and a couple of others, right? That was a very different time. 1995 was a very different time, and people's general idea of what they thought Hollywood thought of lore and the people that they were using for IP farms was very, very different. People were a lot more willing to just go with the flow, and if you told a good story, it worked. And at that time, it was a lot more creatively focused anyways, whereas now it's just focused on pumping out IP to keep rights for things.
I mean, if you are making up an entire new story from scratch, it's reportedly being written right now to go to theaters in 2026. You're writing this entirely new story from scratch. Make it about a different world. Make it about a different set of characters. Make it something new. It's a new story anyway.
No, apparently it's based on one of the appendixes, like one of the appendix from Lord of the Rings.
In the Silmarillion?
Yeah. So whether that's true or not, like,
I don't know.
It doesn't really matter because I don't think people have any faith in it anyways, because it's not through Peter Jackson. Producing is not the same thing as directing. I'm
honestly surprised that Peter Jackson would be affiliated with this after the way Amazon ghosted him. Like, they at first were telling him, like, yeah, we would love your input for Rings of Power. Call us anytime. And then he tried to reach out and they just like blocked him. They just didn't respond. They totally locked him out of conversations there. And a lot of people blamed that decision for why Rings of Power was so shitty. I think it was going to be shitty anyway, but I'm surprised that Peter Jackson still has faith that Hollywood in 2024 is capable or willing of creating a story in the Lord of the Rings franchise that isn't just abominable. Yeah. And he's not, he as a producer doesn't have any creative role here.
I mean, that was the same thing that I used to laugh at when they were first marketing the Man of Steel, like from producer Christopher Nolan, and he actually did have more input on that
to an extent.
To an extent,
but it's not the same as a director. It's not the same as a writer. And look, why do you have a writer? It's based on a series of novels written by a guy who is dead. So why are you writing more? Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me.
I assume this is how Gollum became Gollum, right? How he went from being a hobbit to being Gollum.
So it says,
I don't know.
It's an honor and a privilege to travel back to Middle-earth with our good friend and collaborator, Andy Serkis, who has unfinished business with the stinker, Gollum. They said in a joint statement, this is from Jackson, Walsh, and Boyens. This is for people over at Warner Brothers, right? It says, as lifelong fans of Professor Tolkien's vast mythology, we are proud to be working with Mike DeLuca, Pat and Abdi, of course, know they are in charge of Warner Brothers Productions over there, for another epic adventure. But it's been, what? 20 years plus. They've got the animated Lord of the Rings movie that's coming out at Christmas this year.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. And they're showing the trilogy in full, like the director cut, in theaters right now because they're so short on content, which I was planning to see. So they're clearly like milking this franchise for all it's worth and further than that.
There's a $20 one there from Hobbit.
Oh, from Hobbit, you said?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. He said the hunt for Gollum is mentioned in Fellowship of the Ring during the Council of Elrond. Gandalf tells how he searched for Gollum before eventually sending Aragorn to find him while he went to get help from Saruman.
So,
But nothing that was ever explicitly told in the series. They're just kind of they call it yet to be told.
the problem is like with franchises like this, they need time to breathe, and they've given Lord of the Rings a lot of time, but then Rings of Power came out and they lost a lot of goodwill, and it's not even from the same studio.
But the consumers don't know the difference, that it's not from the same studio. They're not even thinking about that, and they don't care, nor should they.
The average person doesn't know that
Makes no
Amazon has the
difference.
television rights and that Warner Brothers has the movie rights.
Exactly. For all they know, it's literally the same people making the new movie as it was the show. And they need to just be realistic that you've lost the goodwill you had, and let it rest for a second. But they said for over 2 decades, moviegoers have embraced Lord of the Rings film trilogy because of the undeniable devotion Peter, Fran, and Philippa have shown towards protecting the legacy of Tolkien's works, and to ensure audiences could experience the incredible world he created in a way that honors his literary vision. We're honored they have agreed to be our partners on these two new films. Do they mean the animated film?
No. Oh, no. I think this is 2 new live-action ones, not including the animated film that's coming out this
They're
year, because
both
that's already
Gollum
done.
movies?
The second one is unannounced.
Oh, okay. We just got the tentative title for the Gollum movie. With Andy coming aboard to direct The Hunt for Gollum, we continue an important commitment to excellence that is the true hallmark of how we all want to venture ahead and further contribute to the Lord of the Rings cinematic history.
Problem is, depending on how they work the actual film, not many people have great memories of the Hobbit franchise, right?
Yeah,
Not in the same way. Like,
compare it to what came out in the second half of the 2010s, and you're like, oh, it was fine. But it's sort of like the way that the prequel trilogy of Star Wars is remembered now. Like, at the time, it got a lot of hate, but now people compare it to current Disney Star Wars content, and they're like, we didn't know we had it good back then. It seems like that. Yeah. But I also saw here that Rings of Power Season 2 is coming out later this year, which feels like a fast turnaround. But do you want to review that, or are we done?
I don't know.
It's like it wasn't as bad as Velma.
I think they were both bad.
But at least, like, the thing is, the fan base for Lord of the Rings is so much bigger and more devoted than Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
Clearly. And it matters more. Yeah. It's more important to our culture.
My big issue will be like what Peter Jackson did a lot of work to do in-camera effects and to really bring it to life in a way that felt real. And right now, the take that people have on CGI is that it's overdone and that it's bad.
I remember it being overdone in the 2012
The Hobbit. Yes, that's the problem.
Like,
so there was a very clear quality difference between the original films and what came out with the Hobbit films. There's not a single bit of me that believes that they're going to be able to work backwards to make it look like the original trilogy looked like.
No. And especially because Peter Jackson is just fronting money here.
And one of the problems is like, look, when something like this comes out and it gets $80 or $100 million opening, compared to like say they make $80 to $100 million, they do it with a budget of $150 or $200 million. All that looks like to anyone else is just meh. Like, you just took one of the most profitable franchises of all time. It's the same way with Star Wars, right? Whenever you put out something new for Star Wars, if it's anything other than unbelievable levels of excitement and draw towards your product, it feels like a fall from grace for something that should matter a lot more.
You know what? I'm going to audition to be the motion capture actress for Gollum.
You can take, I mean, so if Circus is going to be both Gollum and direct, then that's, then you're going to have to fight for the role. Maybe like, look, you're busy, you're directing. I'm not sure
I'll
if
be
you're
the
going to be able to do that.
stunt double for Gollum.
And as a
You know what? They're going to race swap Gollum.
And as a director, I've only seen 2 of the things that he's done. I saw the Mowgli movie, and I saw Venom: Let There Be Carnage. And I like Andy Serkis a lot as an actor, as a director. Like, I don't have the proven track record to say that I think he's like the greatest thing in the world, especially for a project of that size. Venom: Let There Be Carnage was not nearly as. I mean, not to say that any of the Venom movies were all that great, but the first Venom movie, in my opinion, was a better film than the second one. And I like Andy Serkis more as an actor than I do as a director. So I don't know if you get somebody like Matt Reeves to do this. I don't know if that would, because he did the Planet of the Apes movies that Andy Serkis starred in. Like, maybe he would be the person to take on a project like this, but he's busy doing the Batman Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, who do you get for a project like this? I guess it works, but I don't know if you get Kenneth Branagh to do something like this. He might be a better fit for this film, but it just doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. And nobody that I saw online talking about it had any real level of excitement over this project. And that's a problem. You want people to be excited when you announce things like this.
Yeah, they're also making a reference to a small part of one of the original books that most people wouldn't be aware of. So they're just like, what the hell is this movie even about? Yeah. Like, they don't get it. But yeah, I think that this is a bad idea.
There's a $20 one there from Hobbit again.
Oh, he said, I have heard that if Warner Bros. And New Line Cinema do not make Lord of the Rings films, then they lose the copyright, meaning other groups like Amazon could sneak in and snatch it up. The Hobbit films weren't great, but better than Rings of Power.
That's a fair look. Yeah, I mean, they say a lot of times
the bar is low.
That is why they do so many Spider-Man movies. Like even right after they made The Amazing Spider-Man, which a lot of people didn't think of favorably, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. They have to keep making them, otherwise Sony will lose the rights to them. Right. It'll revert back to Marvel. So that is a problem. That speaks to another greater problem within the industry, which is where art and commerce meet, and you're not making something because something actually needs to be inspired to make it. You're just making it because, oh, we're going to lose the rights to do this. Yeah. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants you to just make something because you have to do it. You don't want to say, oh, we got to make another Lord of the Rings movie or we're going to lose the rights. You want somebody to come in and say, like, look, I've read this. It's a fantastic story. This is my history of work. I am the man or woman. Progressivism, right? I am the man to direct this for you, to adapt this for the screen. And there's none of that right now. It's just get it done and push it off the factory line because that's what needs to happen.
I think they also feel no matter what happens, if it's coming after Rings of Power, you're going to look so much better.
Like, maybe that's
the bar has just been set so low that they feel like it's a recipe for success. I disagree, but that might be the way they see it.
Maybe what I need to do is like, look, maybe I need to go back. I've only seen again, self-admitted, not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I've seen each of the movies like twice and remember very little of them from when I was younger. Saw the Hobbit movies and hated them. Maybe if I went back and watched the Hobbit movies, I would look on them more fondly.
Yeah,
I don't think so, but perhaps. I was just, and the funny thing is we were talking about
they were forgettable.
We were talking about runtimes recently because the new Kevin Costner film that's coming out, his Cowboy.
3 hours.
3 hours long. I'm like, bro.
And 1 minute.
Unnecessary.
Not just 3 hours. Just add another minute on there.
There wasn't a dude to be like, bro, there's at least a minute we can cut out of here. Let's get it down to 3 hours even.
No. What was it before editing?
Actually, no, that's a better question. The real thing is, you know how like they price things at like $9.99? He should have cut 2 minutes out of it to make it 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Yeah.
Just so it doesn't, have the stench of a 3-hour movie. Though I did see a good argument to the contrary recently. Somebody said, like, look, going to the movies is expensive. Like, I like longer movies because it feels like
Is it more bang for your buck?
That's what that was their logic. It was like, look, I feel like I get more, bang for my buck. I get my money's worth by going to a 3-hour movie. I'm like, add intermissions, maybe.
That only works if the movie is actually good, right?
Yeah. Like, it's just, and I don't have any interest. And they pointed out, they're like, he's got like other movies that were longer. And I'm like, bro, like I could maybe watch Dances with Wolves again these days.
Or
but
Oppenheimer.
I mean, that was good, but that's, again,
Wait, how long was Oppenheimer again?
It was like 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Or like, but the point is, like, Christopher Nolan is the exception and not the rule. Like, when in doubt, assume you're not as good as Christopher Nolan at making a film.
Yeah.
Not to say that Kevin Costner doesn't have a track record of making films that people like. He does. But bro, you're rusty. You've been doing Yellowstone all these months as an actor. Maybe lean into something that's a good 2 hours and 15 minutes.
He's post-divorce. He's in the zone.
Maybe we will review Rings of Power season 2.
I don't know. Do you guys want that? Like, if you want us to review the next season, I guess we should. But I don't know if you guys even want to hear about it. It's only really worth one shot.
Again, I saw, does somebody know what movie? I just saw something recently about either the movie we're watching tonight, which is The Planet of the Apes, or something else that's coming out recently that was entirely shot on film. And that actually got me excited. Like, if they went back.
Which one was it, though?
I thought it was The Planet of the Apes that said that it was shot on film, but I don't know if that's what it was. If they came and told me that they were shooting the Gollum movie on film and they were going to limit their CGI and use minimal green screens, film on location, track, just trek your big asses over to New Zealand where you shot the original films, right? And go do that. I would be behind at least the premise of it, but we'll have to wait for more stuff to come out. But you lose a lot when you build everything in post and you don't do things on location. So. All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Andrew Jacobs said, "Welcome home, Mom and Dad. Hi, Phil. Happy B-Day, Mocha."
No!
I'm sorry, cats don't have birthdays.
Thank you.
That's not a thing. Corey Anderson said, "Happy belated birthday, Mocha."
No.
Mocha can't hear you.
and I wouldn't let Mocha hear you even if he could.
He also said, apropos to Kellen, he cannot read. If you leave him in charge again, please leave him with someone that can read. Good Lord, that was rough.
Look, guys, I suck at reading, but let's be honest. Let's all be real with ourselves. If I can admit that I suck at reading, you can admit that your Super Chats are sometimes unintelligible.
Yes.
There's some lack of grammar in there. There's some lack of punctuation. There's no judgment here. I clearly am being honest. Like, look, I suck at reading out loud sometimes. Oddly enough, less of a problem like if I'm alone. I think it's just like you're doing multiple things at once and you try to do it and you get ahead of yourself. But don't pretend like your grammar and your punctuation is always perfect, guys.
I do.
We love you anyways.
Impromptu. Tommy Simonson said Beowulf over Lord of the Rings. If only Hollywood knew. I mean, there has been a Beowulf movie, has there not?
2014 or something like that.
I would be surprised if not. We got a 20 from Bucky Ducky. Welcome back, bread and mayo. Glad to have you. The fill-in hosts did not cut it for me. Also, hi, Philly cheesesteak.
That's you, Phil.
Has anyone called you that
If
before?
I have to be bread and she has to be margarine, then you get to be...
Bread and margarine?
Yeah, I mean, at least this is all just weird.
Okay.
Let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact. Let's talk about all of the problems going on at Disney. So if you guys watched the show earlier this week, which I hope you did when Kellen was running the show, you know that a lot of bad things are going on at Disney right now. Well, first things first, Kevin Feige talked about how they were going to drop the amount of content they were producing to just 3 movies a year and just 2 shows, which still feels like too much.
So little.
So little, right? But right now what's going on is Disney's focusing on the wrong thing because their stock price tanked after the earnings call. And we now find out that they're focusing on the wrong thing because apparently Tinkerbell is being cut from meet and greets and has been labeled as a problematic character.
And I looked into this just to make sure it was true. I need to fact check. It says Disney character meet and greets do change in Disney parks. You have to check the website for character updates. But Tinkerbell reportedly faced scrutiny from Disney's Stories Matter team ahead of the launch of Disney Plus back in 2019. So in this New York Times piece, they talked about the Stories Matter initiative. It was prepared to do an extensive review of the Disney film library before Disney Plus launched. And they added all of these disclaimers to the content that they determined to be negative depictions or mistreatment of people or cultures. like The Muppet Show from the 1970s or the 1941 version of Dumbo. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now, the disclaimers read. But the Stories Matter team privately flagged other characters as potentially problematic, with the findings distributed to senior Disney leaders. According to 2 current Disney executives who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss confidential
I love the
information.
idea that they're like Boeing and whistleblowers and they have to like speak. I'm picturing them like with like the shadow face
like
and the voice changer like, actually we have a lot of problems going on here at Disney.
They decided that Tinkerbell is problematic.
You can't tell anybody my name. You can't tell anybody my name.
So this Stories Matter initiative at Disney decided that Tinkerbell is problematic. She needs to be canceled and retired for good. They also said that Ursula is problematic because of her dark color palette. I'm not kidding. Lavender skin and black legs.
She should have called Alex Clark, who could have gotten her colors done.
She could be viewed through a racial lens, they cautioned. And she is also queer-coded with mannerisms inspired, at least in part, by those of a real-life drag queen. And here were the reasons that they flagged Tinkerbell as problematic. Tinkerbell was marked for caution because she is, quote, body conscious and jealous of Peter Pan's attention, according to executives. While Captain Hook could expose Disney to accusations of discrimination or prejudice against individuals with disabilities because he's a villain and he has a hook.
Yes, it's a problem. You can't be a villain and be disabled.
Wow. The idea that pirates have hooks or peg legs, it's very ableist.
Yes.
So you need to put a disclaimer for that. You're going to offend people. Yeah, but this was a hit piece, basically, against Tinkerbell back when Disney Plus was launched.
Pretty privilege.
She really is getting canceled for her pretty privilege, though.
Yeah. I mean, Tinkerbell is like literally like, so like Cinderella, Tinkerbell, who else is like blonde, blue-eyed, pretty.
I mean,
Rapunzel. Like, those are the first people to get the axe, I feel like.
I mean, Elsa's still around. They still got Elsa.
she's new, though, to them. Like, newer IP.
Right. If it's part of the classic set of characters, they need to be scrutinized.
This is the same thing as sensitivity readers.
Yes, I mean, people were actually paid 6-figure salaries to watch a bunch of Disney movies and write down on a clipboard everything that they found offensive about it. And Disney executives actually listened to them. And they actually added these disclaimers and these trigger warnings to their content on Disney Plus. And Tinkerbell is unfortunately a victim of that.
I didn't see. Okay, so like I was told, like originally I remember when Daredevil came out, they said that there was going to be like basically trigger warnings on the content there. I've started watching Daredevil recently on Disney Plus, and it didn't
see
have
any?
that. I mean, I guess.
Well, you're an over 18 account. They may just
maybe.
not bother if you're an over 18
But
account.
I mean, this is the same stuff that was happening a couple months ago when they were talking about sensitivity readers changing the language on the James Bond books. Because of the way that racial descriptions were done of characters that are now labeled as insensitive because they were written at a different time. My take now is the same it was then, which is that the worst thing you can do is bias a reader ahead of time by, first of all, like changing it. That's the worst thing you can do, is changing it for modern audiences, because there is something really, really disconnected where you change some of the language, but then the stuff you don't consider problematic but is very much of its time as well is not changed. So then the book loses its flow and its feel because some of the writing is current year and some of the writing isn't. But that's the worst. But it's also bad to put a trigger warning at all, because one of the things that it ends up doing is then people who are sensitive, they don't get to rip the Band-Aid off and just experience it as it was written, which can a lot of times be the best way to introduce you to concepts you might find a bit disheartening or disconcerting.
Thank you, guys.
Like if you end up reading or experiencing something that you have a problem with, it's better to just experience it and then wrestle with your feelings afterwards rather than worrying about it beforehand.
Do we actually believe that there is a black viewer out there who watches Gone with the Wind and is emotionally traumatized by it?
No.
That person doesn't exist. I don't care. Like, like I would say like facts don't care about your feelings or some phrase like that, but you know, these people who are upset, they don't exist.
So this is what Geeky Sparkles had to say about it, obviously from Clownfish TV. He says, guys, Tinkerbell, Disney removed the Pixie Hollow version because they aren't making those films anymore. I do not think it's because someone wrote a hit piece article 3 or 4 years ago. Disney did not erase her from the parks. She still has her statue. So it's just the meet and greets.
Yeah, so she thinks this is just Disney trying to allocate more time and space to current IP.
I mean, that makes sense too with, I mean, also after earnings calls and stock tanking, it's fair to say that cuts could be coming.
But Tinkerbell is technically current IP since they just announced and put out this movie.
Peter Pan and Wendy came out like last year.
They had an updated race-swapped version of Tinkerbell in the new Peter Pan and Wendy movie on Disney Plus. So she is current IP, but that's exactly what you were referring to, Phil, is she's getting punished for her pretty privilege and for her being white and blonde. So they had to, you know, make her Algerian or whatever. And that is, you know, her atonement for her sins.
Pretty privilege and the fact that she's white and blonde and blah, 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 you know, the whole thing, the anti-political correctness stuff, you know. She fits none of the, well, she only checks off one, which is she's a woman, so.
But she's body conscious.
Well,
so.
she's woman that's in good shape, so that's a strike against her. But
it's always rough when you have to show characters. Look, I explained recently. I said I've been watching.
It's always rough when you have to show characters.
When you have to show, I'm reeling my thought back. When you have to show characters that look that way these days, because I've been watching Once Upon a Time, and all the characters are just traditionally attractive people. And nowadays, I just don't believe that they wouldn't make more changes to that.
Well, Andrea Mew was like bemoaning the fact that Disney parks don't really care about hiring attractive people to play all of these characters anymore. And just like the cast members in general that aren't playing any roles. They are like these bearded drag queen freaks. Sorry, I'm going a little too far. But anyway, Breitbart recently reported on some new polling data that shows Disney's approval rating is plummeting as well, even among young people. They asked the question, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Disney should return to wholesome programming and allow parents to decide when their children are taught about sexuality. A vast majority of 71% agreed, only 22% disagree with that statement. Another question said, a Disney executive said the company has many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories. Is such programming appropriate for children under 12? A majority of 54% said no, that is not appropriate for children. And only 33% said yes, it is appropriate. So he also mentioned 57 and 58% of Black and Hispanic respondents said that it is not appropriate for children.
There's a $20 one there.
Who's it from?
Carnell.
He said Disney, Tinkerbell is problematic. Also Disney, a male black fairy god, gay is not going to be controversial at all. Yeah.
They drown that out. They don't really think about
Doesn't
that
matter.
at all. And this type of news is not really anything new, and this type of polling data isn't going to change anything at Disney. The boat has made it too far out into the ocean. I don't think it can be pulled back in, not anytime soon. They had a chance to make mild changes when Nelson Peltz tried to get on the board, and they wrongly, they rejected that. Mm-hmm. So I don't see any of those changes.
But why would
anytime soon?
Why would the approval rating for Disney go down so much since just 2022, like specifically? I don't get that. They said May of 2022, the poll showed that their net favorability rating was, it went from 50, it was an astounding 53-point drop from 56 to
Was that when
3.
Lightyear came out in 2022? So it could have been around that time when they started launching those movies. A lot of people were unhappy with the way that they behaved when the pandemic was happening because of the salaries of the executives staying high and a lot of people being put on furlough.
It's so weird that Disney is like a political, like partisan issue right now.
It is.
I do think the pandemic changed a lot of people, and it made people look at a lot of different things differently. So the clearly it made people mistrust the government more than they had it previously.
Yeah.
But I think that it made people more skeptical and suspicious of just large things.
Everything.
Like, yeah,
Every institution.
large companies, large, things that we have historically relied on. And then you throw in the fact that there was all the noise about the LGBT stuff, and with the issue of trans people being top of mind, or with trans people being top of mind so much. And people have a visceral reaction to that, first of all. And second of all, it's starting to look like society is rejecting the idea of gender at all. Like, people are starting to say, no, gender's not even real. That's John Money came up with that, and they're starting to understand why they're rejecting it. And I think and the fact that Disney embraced that before society embraced it, I think is something that society's kind of realized and noticed and is pushing back against.
Also, I don't know, and this is just because I don't know how Rasmussen does like their polling, but one of the issues is like when people hear Disney, now are they talking just Disney IP, or are these people angry with Lucasfilm? Are they angry with what's going on with Marvel? I don't know how to differentiate whether they're actually including those in their thoughts on Disney.
A lot of people, this might sound crazy to us, but a lot of people just aren't even aware that Disney is behind Star Wars or Marvel. Is that crazy to say? I feel like they're just not really consciously aware. I mean, they might be subconsciously aware.
But I do believe that they know that that Disney's behind Marvel.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's true. It also says 63% of Democrats view Disney favorably, while only 33% of Republicans view Disney favorably. It's an actually partisan split.
Yeah.
It's mirrored in the same way when they ask, like, do you trust mainstream media? And it falls on party lines as well, almost probably at the same percentages.
Well, Disney is mainstream media.
You can look at things that used to be exclusive, like not just mainstream media, but like music media, right? Clearly, Rolling Stone is a left-leaning magazine. Yeah. Same thing with culture magazines like GQ and Teen Vogue. I've used those two particular magazines as an example before, because they should be significantly different, right? GQ should not resemble the stories and the ideas and the opinions in GQ should not resemble the stories and ideas that are in Teen Vogue. Like, that just doesn't make any sense at all. They're two totally different markets, and yet you see the same thing. And I think that is the homogenization of a narrative from media is something that people are noticing, and it is a narrative that the majority of America actually rejects, which is like things like, oh, men can become women and women can become men and stuff like that. That is something that people outright just are rejecting.
Well, guys, with all of those problems going on, Disney has their answer for you. You know what it is? Cable. That's what they want to do. Bundles. That's how they're going to fix all this, guys. Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery to launch Disney Plus Hulu Max streaming bundle. That literally is going to be the problem. And so this was echoed by both Bob Iger and David Zaslav when they're talking about making their DTC, their direct-to-consumer models profitable, which both of them did manage to do in this quarter. So Disney, which spends billions of dollars on content, managed to profit $48 or something million. And Warner Brothers, who also does the same, though they did a better job of cost cutting, I think, brought in about $86 million of profit. But ask anyone who works, at a business like this, you don't spend billions to make in just the double-digit millions.
No,
you don't.
That's
right?
like a dollar in Disney dollars.
So, I mean, at most businesses of that size, divisions get cut for not profiting enough.
But also, it's like kind of these bundles that come with your phone plan or your cable plan. That's the unsung hero of what could possibly make Disney profitable.
T-Mobile.
Like Disney Plus.
T-Mobile offers stream, and I mean, just like other services, I think Verizon offers Max or something.
Right.
Like one of the other ones offers one of the other streaming services. So this is what it says. The company's announced a new streaming bundle comprising Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max will be available this summer in the U.S. There is no pricing info or specific launch date at this point. Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery Discovery said that the bundle will be available for purchase on any of the 3 streaming platforms' websites and offers as both an ad-supported and ad-free tier. The apps and content from each company will remain separate. Disney recently integrated Hulu content into Disney Plus for customers who have both services. Note that Hulu already has agreements to sell add-on subscriptions for Max, Paramount Global, Paramount Plus, with Showtime. So that's like one of those things. Like if you go onto Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to tons of other streaming services through there. So they're getting a lot of, a cut of it either way. But there's a lot of people that have stuff to say about this, and I find it interesting because I don't think that Disney has even paid the full nut yet for Hulu. Like they
what
still
do you mean
they
by
have to
that?
pay for Hulu still because they bought out Hulu.
They don't have the money.
I don't know if they're
to
going
pay
to do
for it?
that
What
or
do you mean?
how it's going to be
I mean,
appropriated.
I don't
but-
know how these corporate mergers or acquisitions work, but that seems bizarre.
But eventually what's going to happen, guys, is you're going to have a service. You're going to pay $180 a month for it. And a bunch of stuff is going to be available from a bunch of different places. And it's going to resemble something that you had a lot back in the 90s and the 2000s. It was called cable.
Look, we're getting closer and closer to what I have proposed, which is a state-run streaming service that has everything on it.
What?
You only need to make one purchase, and it's not complicated. There are no bundles. There are no hidden fees. It's just all run by the government. Wouldn't that be ideal?
Mary said the same thing about airlines yesterday as well.
Yeah, there should just be one state-run airline so it doesn't get all complicated and confusing.
And to my point, somebody said didn't they buy Hulu? They have to make the actual purchase by December 1st.
There's a deadline for
And it's going to cost them $8.61 billion.
Okay.
Which is honestly, for
That's
Hulu,
cheap.
honestly, for Hulu, that's cheap because Hulu is the far superior streaming
But
service.
HBO Max, it seems like, Max is the trendy service, like the trendy streaming service for young people. Am I wrong? It seems like the one that young people like.
Is there a streaming service that young people are?
It seems like
are
that. That's
okay.
it, right? It has Euphoria on it. It has like,
But I thought young people didn't like Euphoria. I thought it was all like millennials. And are millennials the young people we're talking about?
yeah. I mean, Zoomers have less purchasing power than
And,
millennials.
and Zoomers are watching YouTube and Twitch
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right. But that does seem like it's the trendy one, so
I don't know.
it's beneficial for Disney.
Like if you're like me and you value old content, Hulu's the way to go because it's just the amount of old stuff that they have on there right now. But like I've never had Stars. I've never had Stars in my life, and I will probably never have Stars.
So weird.
Yeah.
Why do these things exist?
Why do they exist?
All right, let's go to
Disney's got a
Superchats.
lot of things to fix right now.
Brian Tesh said, "Why is Britt and Margaret here? Where's the real star, Kellen? What's up, Phil? Glad to have y'all back. It's been boring at work without you. Let's go."
Let's go.
Well, and thank you for welcoming us back. I think.
Yeah. Big Dave said, "Phil, I listened to Divine on repeat during my 40-minute commute to work the day it dropped. I got 3 speeding tickets. The song rocks.
We'll do that. It's
The
a
left
fast
lane
one,
is
man.
for crime."
It is a fast one that'll do that, but I appreciate it, man. Cheers.
Tommy Simonson, I have no idea what this currency is, by the way. DKK?
Danish.
Okay. He
I
said
don't know.
Superman is older than phone booths. Back in the 1930s, it was police booths only.
That's even better. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Corey Anderson said, "Phil, when are you on tour? What do you and your bandmates do to pass time while on the bus? D&D video games, Uno, for money, inquiring minds want to know."
Twitter. That's
Just Twitter?
That's what I do. That's the same thing that I do when I'm at home.
I imagine you read a lot on the.
I do read.
on
I
this.
read. I don't read books generally. I listen to audiobooks and stuff. But I do read a lot of articles and stuff like that on stuff that gets posted to Twitter. But
Do you have a hard time maintaining focus when you're listening to audiobooks?
it depends. I like to listen to audiobooks when I drive from here to New England and back.
Yeah.
Long time. I can usually do one or half of one or whatever if it's a long one because it's like 7-hour drive.
Sorry, I read his next one. as well.
Go for it.
He said, Corey Anderson said LeBron James is a giant crybaby biatch. I don't know. That just
There you
made me
go.
laugh.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. He wasn't the one complaining about the racist poster. I don't think he even saw it. To just, but he is a whiner.
Yeah. Okay, Shane
do
H.
two more- two
Wilder
more.
said salad fingers. Mary is speaking of the old magic. It was good stuff. It was Kino. Corey Anderson said, Phil, how many super chats to get All That Remains to cover JoJo's song? Now that would be something. That would be a vibe. Why
no,
not?
That's not. Well,
How many
first-
parties?
First of all, we're not paying Tim to get All That Remains to do something.
Wait, what?
I said we're not paying Tim
To get All That Remains to do-
to
yeah.
do something.
Fair.
So
All right, let's do one more.
I think the
Gordon
next one
Shumway.
was Gordon Shumway. He said Sarah with an H was awesome. You guys need to trick her to guest more shows.
Look-
well, I was like, oh, so the first time you're on the show is when we're gone.
Yeah, like I sent
That's
her
interesting.
When I was in the middle of the show, I sent her a message. I'm like, "You're doing really, really good."
Yeah,
and,
she was
and
great.
basically, I was like trying to like be like a manager. I'm like, "You're great. You're a star. We need you back. Come on."
Well, it sounded like a situation where she was like, oh, I'll fill in for someone if they don't show up, and then they didn't show up. So it's like you gotta corner her
We'll have to trick her up here at some
Right.
point to do that. Let's hold off on the rest, and we'll come back after the fact. Time to talk about Macklemore.
Should we just go to like the last story? We're
The-
kind of short on time because we're about to go see the Planet of the Apes movie later.
Yeah, all right.
Which is really important. My eyes were assaulted with some cringe of epic proportions yesterday. I saw this so-called punk artist who goes by the name TX2, and he tweeted a clip of a song of his, and the lyrics are. You know what? Let's just listen to it. Let's just listen to it and not have any opinions until we've seen it.
You guys will have to listen and make up mind for yourself. I wouldn't want to poison your view of this, so let's go ahead and listen to.
And
to what
also,
it says.
if you're listening instead of watching, this is a grown-ass man wearing a tiny satin, like, nightgown.
Here we go. It says, "This is what punk is about."
Put a bullet in a kid's head, think they got a sickness and they're not dressed up straight. But what happens in the closet doesn't matter if you profit from the flag of the USA. You're too fucking old, you do as you're told. You base your life off a nation scroll. Out there burning witches, filling up the ditches. Tell me, can I still be saved?
Okay.
So yeah, that's the clip. It's about as edgy as Jojo Siwa.
yeah,
To me,
that's-
not edgy at all.
That's the thing that strikes me right off the bat is this is all politically correct rhetoric. So the lyrics are all exactly what you would expect to hear from whether it be him or Joe Biden, the president of the United States, or anyone in the Democrat Party.
Well, he
So there's
wrote this
there is
song.
no edge to it.
Yeah, he wrote this song to defend drag shows for children, actually. He said, "This is what punk is about. A year ago, we wrote a song and named it after a governor in Tennessee who was trying to pass laws banning drag shows and affecting gender-affirming care. We called out several governors by name in the song to spread awareness, and that's why it is named Randy McNally, parentheses, no love like Christian hate." And Randy McNally is the lieutenant governor in Tennessee and a Republican. So he was just one of the many that they named in that song. But they had a lot of drag queens in the music video, and he's wearing eyeliner and safety pins all over his tie, and it's in a school. So they're like in a classroom, and it's very like dingy and dark. And you know, it's just try hard, edgy nonsense that is totally detached from reality in the
But, yeah,
society we
it's-
live in, and the fact that religious authority has been totally toppled in the last 2
Yeah.
decades, like
That's-
irreversibly so.
That's the thing that bothers me the most, and it's not that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't like not like I have a problem with it, but that's the thing that makes it so silly and not worth your time is because it's a postmodern idea of what is going on in the world. Like it is a postmodern understanding of like religion and religion's influence. He's got an imaginary imaginary enemy that he's fighting against because there are some Republicans and that are in positions of power in public office, but like the whole societal narrative is on his side. Like
Right. I'll
there's
just read this anonymous post. So punk, all the Fortune 500 companies fly the gay flag. So punk, the U.S. government passed a law which would effectively ban certain Bible passages as hate speech. And so punk, big pharma making millions, probably billions, off of puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy. I'm old enough to remember when punk meant rejecting the system. You, young lad, are part of the system.
This is literally the like one of the things that punk kind of has been like against, or historically, is like self-indulgence, right? Like it's not like the yuppies were the ones that were self-indulgent. The yuppies were the ones that wanted money and
boomers,
and they wanted to do coke, and they wanted to party and drink, and the self-indulgence, blah blah blah. And punk was really opposed to that. This is nothing but narcissism. This is totally self-indulgent. All totally focused on you know, one's own sexuality. I mean, it's about as close to public masturbation as you can get legally currently.
That's not like, you're not badass, you know? Like, also the line about you're too effing old. Like, bro, you are visibly in your 40s. So why are you like, if I'm wrong, if this guy is in his 20s, I'm sorry, but you do not look like it.
Do you remember when I showed you this not that long ago? They made a music video for this. This is the actual political music that someone like me was.
Bitch, just like the Joker, an Atlas shrugged ass, thought provoker. No can find me any road to wiggle. Just call me Malcolm, 'cause I'm right in the middle. Oh, fuck you, my opinion's a few. You say you wanna be gay, I say it's up to you. When it comes to crime, I'm not a fan. Come on, politicians, we need a plan. When it comes to gender and identity, just like climate change, that shit confuses me. Inflation's rising, the nation's dying. In and out or shake shack, I haven't tried them. Puppet masters, I'm cutting strings. I'm completely nuts on a lot of things. What house am I can't decide. Put on the sorting hat, ain't fucking dime. My balls lead to the left, my dick to the right. I'm a centrist, bitch, which is code for white. Red pill, blue,
which is code for white.
Despite my taint, I'm right in the middle. Oh!
And we're gonna remember the young people. We're gonna remember SneakerCon.
I'm a centrist, bitch, just like the Joker.
It's ironically more punk than whatever the hell that was.
It is. I mean,
we got a $20 from Aaron P. He said, Mary, as a ghost girl, how do you feel about them doing ghost shows in classrooms with kids? Like, Casper is all for it, and I'm just curious if you're here for it or against it, since you two broke up. He posted the breakup texts. I didn't know he posted the breakup text. That is extremely violating. But I think I am against ghost shows in classrooms for kids. Keep that stuff to the, over 18 crowd. That's definitely inappropriate.
It's like Beastie Boys met Rage Against the Machine and ended up somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an actual band. It's a comedy group that does comedy.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's a comedy group that does like music as well.
But
okay,
unfortunately,
so
the TX2 guy is being serious.
Yes.
That comedy group is actually better, or like is better than. Well, they're good enough to be like, if you worked on music, like you might actually have something there.
Yeah.
If you focused on it, because it's actually not bad.
There's like other versions.
It's a cool
that,
riff,
like, there's more like verses that are all equally as funny, and it's great. And I think maybe that like rings more true with Gen Z, who doesn't. It kind of like how the millennials. It's like everybody had to have some type of like ironic theme at their wedding and or holiday themed parties. It couldn't be about Christmas. It had to be about
Tom Hanks for Thanksgiving.
Nobody's willing to take
so
anything
cringe.
seriously. So there's like a yearning to not actually appear like you're taking a side now, because they're like, look, I don't care, and you're politically okay, I can't say that word. You're politically ridiculous.
You're regarded.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought that was funny, and I think that both sides can laugh at something like that, and that's far more engaging to me personally than whatever that first thing was, which is not what I think of when I think of punk.
I mean, you paint your nails, dude. Nobody is about to hate crime you over it. We live in the United States. That is not in any way reflective of our culture in Tennessee or in California, wherever you go. That is not a thing.
You know what we need more of? We need more of Cities by Diana. That's what we need more of.
I love Cities by Diana. I was just watching her videos last night.
She had a new one come out the other day. It was so good.
She brings out the city planner in me.
She really does. Like,
no.
like my dad. I feel like I should be sending. My dad worked for the Army Corps of Engineers, so I feel like I should be sending him the videos.
No, I just want to address, like, if I see a man who paints his nails, I do think that he is a predator. Like, I do see that as a massive red flag, because if you are wearing a dress and you are frolicking around and you're trying very hard to seem non-threatening, you're trying very hard to seem harmless, then I must assume you're overcompensating for something, and that something might be that you're dangerous to women. Okay, it's a red flag.
Just like a male feminist.
It's basically, yes, like a male feminist, but you know, you're trying too hard to cover for something. You're disguising yourself as non-threatening because, you know, there's a darkness behind your eyes, and I don't trust it.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I don't look at this type of topic and think I see anything that's all that interesting, because when I think of, it's kind of like what you were saying the other week, Phil, talking about, like, did underground die?
Yeah.
And in kind of the same way that now when you see somebody wearing a Nirvana shirt, you don't know if they actually like Nirvana or if they just bought it at Target.
Yep.
And it's all
What is punk, though? Like, what is it currently?
Well, so currently, I don't know.
Is there any iteration of it?
I don't know that I could actually tell you what what the punk scene, the actual, what you would consider the underground punk scene. Like, I couldn't tell you. Like, I know that there is still a hardcore scene, and there are hardcore bands, but hardcore bands are not the same thing as punk bands, even though there is some crossover. But I don't know what you would, well, like, what modern punk is like. I don't know if there are, like, I don't. Even when I was playing shows and getting started, we would play, you know, some shows with like crust punk bands and stuff. But a lot of times punk guys are listening to stuff like, they're listening to grindcore, and they're listening to noise, and they're listening to you know, that kind of stuff. There's not really like a punk scene the way that, or at least I don't think there's a punk scene like with the Misfits and like that stuff anymore. I think that kind of has gone away. I think that if you're into punk and underground stuff, it's usually crust punk, it's grindcore, it's actual underground stuff. But I could be wrong. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm just saying this is what there wasn't like.
It's at Catholic Palooza. That's where it is.
Yeah,
Catholic Palooza.
I mean, like, punk was.
No, I'm kidding.
As soon as like the aughts came, punk became pop punk. You know, and that was what pop really was for the most part. And then the actual punk guys were listening to like crust punk and grindcore and offensive music. Like, that was the thing. There was, when it comes to the actual underground punks, they were offensive. They were gonna wear, like, Sid Vicious, what's his name? He wore a swastika because it was offensive. Like, they were trying to be cast out. They didn't want to be in polite society. So you don't get them doing things in polite society. So the idea of pop punk was like taking some of the music of punk, but making it okay for polite society. Now, if there is underground punk now, it's not something that I've seen. And I think that they only listen to grindcore and noise. And
well, there are
stuff
all these like a lot of these cringy people, like pundits, are saying like, oh, the real punk rock is starting a family and homesteading, and I'm like, you just
they're equating counterculture
to punk rock.
Yeah, they're
That's
equating counter narrative to punk rock, and it's not the same thing. You're correct.
Well, that was what's his name, right? That was said like conservatism is the new punk rock.
Who
was that said that?
I don't even know who coined it at this point. It's been said so many times.
Yeah. That was a long time ago, though. This is several years ago. It's
funny.
funny.
It just makes you sound lame.
Thinking about Nirvana, I was talking to someone where I was like, if they anytime they remaster like old videos or performances, I'm like, I actually don't want to see that, because I don't want to listen to I don't want to look at like high definition video of Kurt Cobain playing. I want to see it in the old 4:3. It looks really, really grainy, and it actually fits the vibe of it more than seeing it clear.
I just think declaring oneself punk in 2024 necessitates you not being that. It's incredibly cringe.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
All right, Corey Anderson said, Phil, are you really bald or do you like the look?
I shave my head. It's thin in the back here, but I like the fact that I don't have to worry about a hairstyle. Like, it's super easy to just shave your head. So.
But would you not shave your head?
I mean, I could grow hair.
Yeah.
Like I can grow hair up top here, you know, and like I could get away with growing hair.
You opt not to.
Yeah, I could get away with growing it. I could get away with it. I could have enough to where it would, you know, it might be a little thin, but it's like I could actually still style it and stuff. But it's way easier to just shave your head. You know, I mean, like, you know, obviously I don't worry about it. Even though I wear a hat a lot, it's like we do promos where I have my, you know, where I'm, you know, I have my hat off, and it's like, because it's a pain in the butt to light your face if you got a brim on.
That's true.
So like, there's plenty of pictures and videos and stuff of me without my hat on.
It's not a secret.
No, it's not a secret. And it's like, that's the thing. It's like, you know, there's pictures of me with like my hair or my head when it's like, it's a little like I haven't shaved it lately, and you can kind of see that there's a, you know, a light spot, but it's not like, you know, it's much easier to just shave it off. It's so much easier. So.
Prince Elian said "Song of the Summer." BBL Drizzy by King Willonius.
I'll
If you
have to
say
look
so.
that up.
Okay. James Orthal Wedge said, shout out to All That Remains and Phil blessing us with
Cheers.
Divine.
Thank you.
When is the Falling in Reverse remix of Ronald with Phil spitting 32-bar machine gun verses dropping?
I don't know, but that is one hell of a song, isn't it? The new Falling in Reverse song.
A lot of people were saying that the TX2 guy is just like a libtard Ronnie Radke.
Maybe, but
I was like, that's an insult to Ronnie Radke.
yeah, I
How
mean,
dare
like,
you?
That's another thing. It's like, even Ronnie Radke, like, he's been to jail. Like, he's legit. Like,
He's
there's
more punk rock.
There's no fake with Ronnie. You know, it's like, you may not like him or whatever, but like,
He's a problematic fave. Of
yeah,
mine.
he's a legit. Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're problematic, it's probably because you're cool. You know.
Shane H. Wilder said, I appreciate that you did not use the Madonna cringe. I've already had to bleach my eyes once because of it. What Madonna cringe?
Oh, I'm not looking at that again.
What was it?
Oh, it's this video with her and this other girl, and it's just...
What?
It's not for your delicate eyes to see. You don't want to watch it.
Okay. Yikes. Corey Anderson said, are they getting Amanda Seyfried to play Gollum? That could work. Yeah, I see it.
Look, it's always hard because, like, I don't connect with Lord of the Rings the way so many other people do. So giving updates on it is fine, but it's
well,
like...
did you read it?
I only saw the movies. Okay.
Yeah, like, you could try it
and
with the books.
I think for the most part that, like, there's so many people that are so passionate about Lord of the Rings and love it so much that it's great to get content from them. But, like, we're giving updates because it's news and because Andy Serkis is a big name in Hollywood and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be the one to be like, is this a good I can tell you it's a bad idea, but I can tell you it's a bad idea because I know Hollywood, not because of my knowledge of Lord of the Rings. But I know the problems that Hollywood continually puts themselves into and all of the mistakes that they do when they farm this IP and create for the simple fact of keeping these properties rather than because they have an interesting story to tell. But it's a problem, and it's a problem for more properties than just Lord of the Rings.
Corey Anderson said, what is the purpose of a gusset? I don't know what that is.
Gussets are they're not cuts, but they're folds or whatever on jackets in the back.
Okay.
So Lizzo has like skin gussets.
I don't.
Gussets are generally to make it so that way the clothes can move without getting bunched up and folded up and stuff.
Pat the Plumber said, more excited the dynamic duo was back than any garbage movie. Thanks. We're the dynamic duo, Brad.
Thank you.
That's great. Shane H. Wilder said, it's been a while since I've read the Silmarillion, but I don't remember Gollum in it. Maybe from Unfinished Tales of Numenor and Middle-earth. But I thought Amazon owned the rights to those.
Yeah, so I thought Amazon owned the rights to the appendix stories, right? To the extra stuff, but not to the original tales. I don't know. And for these movies, if
it comes from Fellowship, like they said, then it's available.
If it ends up being a CGI mess, I don't think it matters. I just think that people are going to look at Lord of the Rings, they just re-released, right? I think Shane H. Wilder, was that you in the chat who went and saw it in theaters, right? The re-release. And Star Wars just re-released in the theaters and came in second at the box office. And it was a prequel, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
nothing in it needs to be CGI except Gollum himself.
correct. Again, that's why you watch these. Like, when you go watch old movies and television shows and you wonder why the CGI looked better there, it's because they went to physical locations and they filmed in the physical locations and then added the CGI. They didn't just enter into a room and just dump a bunch of vomit on screen.
It's true. It's what they do. Brett, do you care to read this one from 200 Watt Studio? I don't want to say it out loud. It's the Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels' new film, Pounded in Court.
All right. Got past that.
There you
Pat
go.
the Plumber said Zero Crisis Party Day yesterday, SMH. Is that true?
I don't think so. Were
they left hanging?
No. They had to have at least.
I don't know.
I thought they had at least a couple.
I didn't check. 200 Watt Studio said people thought it was too long, but I thought Oppenheimer was a blast.
Get it? Didn't.
Ha ha ha.
It's a blast.
Frank Wall said, Phil has too much talent to degrade himself with karaoke. The last track you dropped was heavenly.
Thank you.
Look, the second the celebrities are like, look, I am too talented to lower myself to this level, then we end up with these stuck-up celebrities who don't know how to take a joke. That's all I'm saying.
Phil's never going to be stuck up.
Phil
right?
is too much a man of the people.
I've never been stuck up, but I don't work for free either.
There you go. The Joker said that to you.
That's balance. Yeah.
It's balance.
Corey Anderson said, Kellen did a great job. I enjoyed the show while you were gone. He even got Sarah Jane on, but he couldn't say apropos at all. Nothing but B-team love.
I sent a chat that did like the app raw po trying to help him through it. But,
he was struggling.
Apropos.
Poor Kellen. Shane H. Wilder said, also read Tolkien's translation of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It's the best translation of the work.
And then another one from Shane H. Wilder.
I find trigger warnings offensive. Remove them.
Again, like, to me, it's like when you warn somebody ahead of time, then they're like, especially if they're a really, really easily offended person, then they're like stealing themselves for the moment where they're going to be offended.
No, I'm telling you right now, that person doesn't even exist.
I think it does.
Where?
I think it.
Where? They don't exist. I said,
exist
is there a black viewer who would watch Gone with the Wind?
Yes, these kids exist on college campuses
And be
They absolutely
traumatized
do.
by
Now,
it.
are they
That
actually
is not
spending? Are they actually
No, they're
spending
faking
money?
it. They're
Are they actually spending
performing.
money on it? I don't know.
They're performing. They're faking it. They want attention. They're not actually offended or traumatized or triggered by shit. It's all fake, in my opinion.
They're definitely not traumatized or triggered. Like none of the things could possibly traumatize them. Like none of the things.
They're not
that
upset.
Yeah, they're not experiencing anything bad, like negative enough to actually trigger real things in their body. It's all an act.
I think that they experience a kind of high from getting offended by something.
Yeah, that might be.
It's like euphoric for them to be offended by something. Shane H. Wilder, Grant Arnett said, did you guys ask DW about removing Candace Owens at the premiere?
That was the first question I asked.
Yeah, it was the first question we asked of every person there.
We got
exactly, bro.
detailed answers. Stay tuned for our video.
Stay tuned for all the tea. We spilled the tea.
Mm-hmm.
Hotep Tiger said Drake or Kendrick, asking Brett.
Neither. I maybe this is controversial, but I've never cared for Kendrick
Literally,
Lamar.
who cares?
I can't stand Kendrick Lamar's voice personally. Drake is a wet blanket.
Yeah, Kendrick's voice is annoying, isn't it?
Drake is a wet blanket that's meant to be put on the background while you're doing something else and secretly want your ears to hate you. I'm being hyperbolic. I don't really care for. If I had to choose between them, I'd choose J. Cole, and even then, I wouldn't choose J. Cole.
Loved Drake and Degrassi. Just kidding. I didn't watch Degrassi.
Last name walking, first name never.
Ryan said good amount of old content on Max, but one unsung hit is Smiling Friends.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the Spawn animated series. I'm rewatching The Wire again on top of anything.
Smiling Friends like a newer show?
Dunno. I know a lot of people are liking The Sympathizer with Robert Downey Jr. But there is a lot of old content on them. Also, while I was out of town, I watched Fast and the Furious in the hotel.
What, the billionth time?
The part 4.
And DoorDash Taco Bell, by the way, which is a me move.
I totally pulled a Mary and DoorDash Taco Bell after the event.
I've never been like so tired that I just couldn't even fathom DoorDashing. I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Too tired to DoorDash.
I was too tired to DoorDash.
We were in a part of LA. We were in a part of LA where there's one of those Taco Bell cantinas, which are like the bougie Taco Bells, and we didn't go. I was like, I went by it. I'm like, Mary would love that place.
I know. Sucks. Shane H. Wilder said some of the streaming services are also giving early seasons of their shows to Netflix. Seems like a way to get people hooked and then subscribe.
Yeah, that was.
It's all a big game, isn't it?
This is exactly. I was talking with Valiant Renegade when he was here the night before, and that was exactly what they were talking about. They need to start doing. It's like, look, he was asking, why isn't Netflix doing this? He goes, why isn't Netflix why didn't they, when Stranger Things became a hit, right, and they're on season 3, why aren't you licensing out season 1 and 2 to other streaming services to try and get people interested before season 3 comes out? Now, it's less of a thing for Netflix because Netflix is such a big service that it's kind of like the default service anyways. But some of these other channels have their own shows that were hits that they could have licensed out to other streaming services.
Yeah. Bang Bang Lulu said it's because they have the same weakness as Tinkerbell. They die without attention.
Is that what it is?
Brother Cody said bring back Aiden Mattis. God bless. We would love to bring back Aiden.
You've got a day that you're going to be out in the next month. Perhaps I will ask Aiden to come back that day to guest chair. He's the only the dude that's allowed to sit in your chair. Otherwise, it's always been women in that chair.
Allowed or has the anti-fragile masculinity that's necessary.
All the guys have never had a problem with it. I was just like, I'm not going to make the dudes sit behind stuffed animals. I'm not going to do that.
Well, that's just your toxic masculinity
that's
speaking
exactly
for
what
them.
it is.
Shane H. Wilder said that's not edgy or punk. Also, why shit on Christianity while wearing a cross? It is completely asinine. I didn't notice he was wearing a cross in that video.
Definitely was wearing a cross.
Weird.
Yep.
Weird.
Oh, okay. Actually, I've got a commentary on that. Like, look, if the idea here is to shit on it while wearing it, wear a bigger one so it's more noticeable.
Yeah, at least make it the focal point.
There was like a scene of
I was too distracted by how disgusting he looked in that dress.
There was a scene in The Mentalist where a guy's hand is like dismembered, and then like there's a number written on it. And they're like, maybe it was like a note from the killer, or like a reference from the killer. He goes, no, it's too faded, and the killer would write it bigger. I'm like, that makes perfect sense. They would write it bigger.
Gordon Shumway said this punk is so cringe. It's the equivalent of the Sex Pistols singing about how great it is to pay your taxes. Also, did anyone notice the riffs and voice melodies sounded like OG 9 Inch Nails? Did it?
I didn't notice, no.
Yeah, I don't know. Pat the Plumber said, High on Fire, dope band.
Okay.
High on Fire is a band.
Nick C said, good to see my favorite PCC trio again. Welcome back, Bart, Marnie, and Paul.
We'll never be our actual names again. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. It was always funny when it was just me. I had no problem with it. But now you're Marnie, Margarine, Marge, Mildred.
Pretty much anything
Mineral.
at this point.
Nobody calls you Mineral.
Mineral?
I'll call you Mineral. Mineral sounds like the name of like a crusty chick in a movie in the early 2000s.
There's
That's not who I want to be.
Super chat.
We got 100? I didn't see it.
No, that might be old.
Is it? Maybe it is.
All the way. Yeah. Nope.
Okay. We'll continue then. Mr. Anderson said, I've never frolicked, but I've had painted nails. When you have little girls, sometimes they put nail polish on you. You don't freak out. They're yours. Didn't that come up?
That's the Rock.
About
that
the Rock?
Yeah.
Or
it is the dad's rite of passage to that your daughter puts makeup on you. That was like
nothing wrong.
I never did that to my
wrong
dad.
with that.
I didn't do that to my dad.
I don't think my sister did that to my dad either, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like, hang out with your kids,
It's fine.
have fun with your kids, do stuff with your kids, spend time with your kids. It's dumb.
But when this guy does it, this guy in particular,
Which
red
guy?
flag. The punk guy.
Well, I mean, he shouldn't
no.
be around kids.
I mean, yeah, that much is obvious. Radio said 80s punk was the best. Hiya, Mary. High Voltage 75 said next Thursday will mark 2 years of live PCC 4-hour celebration show. Let's go.
Let's go.
We could do that.
I did not know that. Oh my gosh, we're doing so many long streams. This is crazy.
We could do an extended Thursday show.
Yeah.
If you're down.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, Phil, is All That Remains opening on the tour, or will there be local bands opening? I'm so excited for this tour. See you in Richmond. Can you play Divine for Mary? We can't play it on the show.
We'll get copyrighted if we play it on the show.
The funny thing is, I know who owns it. But that being said, we will be playing Divine on the tour, and there won't be opening bands like local bands on these shows. These are going to be in amphitheaters, like they call them sheds. So it's like the outdoor places that have like the big lawn in the back, and then the amphitheater and the seats and stuff. I don't know if some of the shows will have a pit or a general admission down front. Some of them will not. I don't know, and I have nothing to do with that either. So.
Raymond Ayala said, I had to cancel my Hulu because American Horror Story was being promoted on my family's Disney Plus.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's weird.
Like maybe, I don't know if you have settings for stuff that the kids can watch that would not promote that on there.
Shouldn't that just be the default unless you change it? I don't know.
Should be.
The Rumbling said, Helen will not get the respect of the K in his name. I need levity in my day working as I watch. He would be better with Shane or on conspiracies. Yeah, everyone loved that episode.
That episode was great. Mm-hmm. And again, Kellen did a really good job. It's not easy to just jump into something like this and expect it to go smoothly. And I think it went pretty smooth.
Yeah.
So.
Shane H. Wilder said, should I just make the Mary It Stinks video for Planet of the Apes now or wait until after the review?
We'll have to wait and see how that review goes.
You know, go with what your heart is telling you to do, man. Zach Yandel said, have you invited Andrew Clavin as a guest?
That would be interesting.
We haven't, but... good idea, I guess. I mean, that would be an interesting episode.
I do tend to really enjoy the episodes where we invite people who don't necessarily operate in this sphere as much, because it is funny to watch like a person who might do a lot of political content just get assaulted by all that is what's going on in the culture.
Jojo Siwa.
Yeah,
like making them contort themselves to not talk about Trump or Biden.
Yeah, so, Andrew, what do you think about Jojo Siwa's dancing abilities?
He would be good at riffing, I think.
Would.
He does seem like he would be. Prince Elian said, BBL Drizzy is an AI parody diss track about Drake.
Oh,
Should we listen to it?
I can't bring myself to care about that.
It's totally manufactured. I feel like it's just made up for like industry reasons. Like it's a PR relationship, but it's a PR manufactured diss battle.
I saw Serge say he thinks that it's probably done to distract from the Diddy situation.
Right. It's some weird shit like that. It seems very inorganic to me. Corey Anderson said DMX would destroy both Drake and Kendrick.
Gosh, I miss DMX every day. Also, not a bad actor. Did a pretty good job in his roles acting. Go watch Romeo Must Die if you have not seen it yet.
He also asked, what is it like to be famous?
Ask Mary. She wait, so you somebody recognized you in the line?
No, there was someone on the plane when we were on the way back here who recognized me. We had a quick chat, and then also the TSA agent. But that was the second time that I saw the same TSA agent. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's much cooler to be rich than it is to be famous.
There you
Heads
go.
up.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
High Voltage 75 said, I saw your post about Twisters, Brett. I concur. Get hype. Prepare to be blown away on July 19th, Mary.
My favorite part of the poster is they're looking away from the Twister, which makes no sense.
Because they're cool. Cool guys don't look at explosions, and they don't look at the Twister.
Look, I originally I was like, look, no Bill Paxton. There will be no Philip Seymour Hoffman. How is this movie going to be any good? And then I just decided, F it. Like, it's a tornado on fire. How do you screw that up? Like, I guess if it's this like littered with climate propaganda.
To me, that evokes nothing. But you know, if you're into that kind of thing,
look, and it's like, okay, so it's also being written by the same guy who directed Top Gun Maverick, Joseph Kosinski. Now, I don't know if his writing translates to the same as his directing, but you know, I'm here for it, and it looks like a lot of fun.
You kind of sounded Southern for a second. I'm here for it, and it sounds great.
But like, it does seem like a good time at the movies if they can keep the climate propaganda to a minimum. And I get to see.
You got to go like every 5 seconds, like
no. Like, look, when it comes to the like television, you'd be right. It'll be littered with the propaganda. But movies, it tends to be more brief.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that they keep it to a minimum. And if I get to see not one but 2 cows spun around by a tornado of fire, There's not much more I want to see
But
from
why
them.
do you want to see cows suffer?
Because they suffered in the first one, and it made me laugh. Okay?
Okay. Corey Anderson said, if anyone is mad at Kellen, kick rocks. He did great.
He did.
We'll choose to believe you.
Yes. And
Yes.
one more from Shane H. Wilder.
I don't have that one here.
He says, I will wait for the review to make the video. No need to spoil your review ahead of time. LOL.
Okay.
All right, guys. Again, I want to thank all of you for showing up today and for showing up to the show, and especially in those episodes while we were gone. The show is not possible without you, so thank you again very much. And Phil, thank you.
Thank you very much. If you want to follow me on the internet, you can follow me at Phil That Remains on Twix. Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains, and we're going on tour this summer on the Destroy All Enemies tour with Megadeth and Mudvayne. That's going to start on August 2nd, and it's going to go through September 28th. You can check out All That Remains' new single it's called Divine. It's available on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer. I think I got them all. You know, the internet. And don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
In the chat, Pat the Plumber, in reference to the tornado of fire with cows, he says it spits out cheeseburgers.
Oh, no.
I mean, it is on farmland. There's probably cheese around there somewhere.
Oof.
Mary, where can they find you?
You just panned a chair real quick.
Did I?
I think so. Hi, Chair. Okay, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And thank you guys again for welcoming us back. Our content from the Mr. Bertram premiere is still baking, but it will be here soon.
We are working on it. There will be a review and interviews on the red carpet and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because we and they soon will be banned at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with a special episode tomorrow with Kino Corner. We will see you then.
Bye.
Bye now.